Immortal Cultivation begins with time management. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyright or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 951. He transforms into a great freedom demon. Half a month later, clear salt water has begun to flow out of the small hole in a knot of pine and cypress, which means that the Cumlan Plateau and Fenbahu Rock outside have been completely submerged by the rising sea level. This is also expected. After all, the sky leak cannot be repaired at this time. It is only a matter of time before the whole world is submerged by the water of the Tinha River. Zhu Yingyang came to the edge of the pine and cypress and asked, "How long will it take for the entire secret realm to be filled with water?" "Probably more than 20 days. Qiu Changtai replied, "But even if the secret realm is flooded, it will not affect our survival. The real threat is the stars and the demons outside. If the stars hit your head, you'll die, but in places with good sight, you can effectively avoid them in advance. The demons are not difficult to deal with, but the real problem is that the opponent is endless and accustomed to attacking in groups. Being besieged by the demons for a long time without a chance to breathe, even the most powerful cultivators will sooner or later die of exhaustion. What's even more troublesome is that, at present, the demons of this world don't seem to be in a hurry to hunt the human race after passing through the sky, but watch them kill each other leisurely. When the water of the galaxy completely submerges the whole world, in the deep sea with undercurrents everywhere, even the cultivators who are good at water escape will not be as fast as the invisible and colorless demons who can move freely. That will be the day of the real extinction of the world." "Demons?" Zhu Yingyang asked thoughtfully. "What are you looking for when they hover over the Cumlan Plateau?" "I don't know." Qiu Changtai shook his head. The two looked at each other silently, and suddenly turned their heads together to look at the ancient statue of Tai King Tianzan. "Is it because they couldn't find the secret place before?" Zhu Yingyang guessed. "You see, to enter the Tianmen Palace from Fenbahu Rock, you have to go through 2 secret doors, right? And now we have broken all the secret doors outside." So, the two stared at the pine and cypress knots that were still losing water in a daze. After an unknown amount of time, a stream of black smoke suddenly rushed out of it. Qiu Changtai was quick-witted and hit the big hole thunder on the spot. Only the black smoke screamed and quickly dissipated without a trace. "Brother, do you think that this demon died here? Will other demons know?" Zhu Yingyang asked with a frown. "I don't know." Qiu Changtai shook his head and said, "If they do things on their own, then this demon should not have time to inform its kind. But if there is a command behind this demon, and each demon is searching different places separately, then this demon did not return, which itself means that there is a problem in this area. It is only a matter of time before the other party narrows the search range and finally locates us. If I knew, it would be great if there were still a few people left in the secret realm now." Zhu Yingyang sighed and said, "We're hiding in it like this, and we don't know what's going on outside." Qiu Changtai did not answer, but continued to walk around the Tianmen Palace secret realm, and asked Arjun to record every corner here. "In the real world, when you went to the Tianmen Palace secret realm, I also recorded the situation there." Cumlan Mirror said seriously, "Most of the details of the environment on both sides are the same, only the Tianmen Palace and the Sky Bridge should have been built later." "Is it the same for pine and cypress?" Qiu Changtai asked cautiously. "Yes." Cumlan Mirror paused for a moment and said, "When I went to the secret realm of Tianmen Palace, this pine and cypress tree did grow in the same position, slightly below the top of the mountain, but I have not explored whether this passage to the law of heaven and earth exists. That is to say, after returning to the real world, we have to go to Fenbahu Rock to confirm it." Qiu Changtai said thoughtfully. One person and one mirror were checking and comparing, and suddenly heard an explosion in the distance. Qiu Changtai hurriedly flew over and saw Zhu Yingyang fighting with many demons. Black smoke covered the entire mountain top, and flames were everywhere. Although there were many demons, they were shrunk by the magical power of the law of heaven and earth, and burned by the bright fire that destroyed evil, and they were immediately turned into ashes. So many at once. Qiu Changtai landed beside her and asked. These demons rushed out at the same time. Zhu Yingyang looked solemn. They should have confirmed our position, so they organized an attack outside. Fortunately, there is the protection of the law of heaven and earth." Qiu Changtai breathed a sigh of relief. Can the restriction of the law of heaven and earth resist the attack of the demons from the outside world? Zhu Yingyang asked uncertainly. Qiu Changtian was a little unsure after being asked this question, so he could only turn to Kunlun Mirror for confirmation. Generally speaking, it is almost impossible for demons or cultivators without spatial attainments to break the restriction of the law of heaven and earth. Kunlun Mirror replied, but if the opponent has some spatial attainments, as long as they can find the weak points of the restriction and forcibly consume the restriction itself, it is only a matter of time before it is broken. Is this restriction not repairable? Qiu Changtian asked hurriedly. It can be, but what? With your cultivation level, it is no different from not being able to do it. Kunlun Mirror said honestly. Qiu Changtian was stunned for a long time, and he had to admit that there are indeed many things in this world that only immortals can do. Just like his current attainments in formations, he dared to say that most formations would not be difficult for him, but if he wanted to turn formations into restrictions and create various secret realms and caves like the ancient masters, he was still unable to do it now. However, the two are trapped in the jar, waiting for the demons outside to make a move. Fortunately, the other side seemed to have no more moves, and no demons entered the secret realm in the next few days. Qiu Changtian and Zhu Yinglyan took turns guarding the pine and cypress trees, and in their spare time they meditated or wandered around the secret realm. After a few days, when it was Qiu Changtian's turn to guard the entrance, a black line suddenly shot out from the tumor. He hurriedly struck with the big hole thunder, but saw that the black line suddenly changed direction urgently and escaped from the attack range of the big hole thunder, and turned into a beautiful woman in the air, smiling. It turns out to be Fati and Xiang Dai. No wonder so many of my men died when they came in. Qiu Changtian narrowed his eyes, without any fear on his face. He just asked Kunlun Mirror, why didn't this guy shrink? This is him transforming into the Great Freedom Demon. Kunlun Mirror replied, the top-level demon among the demons. For them, the body is like mud that can be shaped at will, and enlargement and shrinkage is only a matter of thought. Can you beat them? Qiu Changtian asked this, but his hands did not stop moving. The Tianyuan Yeki sword had been raised, and the flying sword was aimed at the beautiful woman from a distance. Chapter 952 I will no longer pretend to be weak. Being pointed at by Tianyuan Yeki sword, the demon was not panicked at all, just smiled and said, you were a cultivator in the nascent soul realm, right? You know, in our demon world, the cultivation of the nascent soul realm is equivalent to that of a baby. With the weakness of a baby, you dare to swing the sword at an adult. What gives you such courage, huh? Qiu Changtian did not speak, but quickly asked Kunlun Mirror, is that so? About the same. Kunlun Mirror said ambiguously, the difference in combat power between immortals and nascent soul realm should actually be greater than the difference between adults and children. So you must be defeated, right? Qiu Changtian said this, and saw Zhu Yinglyan suddenly coming from a distance. She saw the figure of the Great Freedom Demon from a distance, so before she got close to him, she used the red feather 9 Phoenix Fire, and the golden line cut directly towards the demon. Wow, Phoenix Fire, it looks good. The demon said with a smile, and was cut into two by the red feather 9 Phoenix Fire, and the wound revealed a dark smoke. Zhu Yinglyan was startled at the sight, and then her heart was immediately alarmed. Because the other party seemed to be killed by her directly, but he had a smile on his face, and there was no sign of death. The next second, she felt that all her energy was suddenly drained away. The demon had circled behind her at some point, and pounced into her body, and began to gnaw at her vitality. Zhu Yinglyan was furious, and shouted to Qiu Changtian, go quickly, and then gritted her teeth and clasped her hands together, mobilizing all the true energy in her body, and activated the 9 fights of thunder and fire. When the 9 fights of thunder and fire exploded, the ground shook, and almost the entire mountain was shaking. Qiu Changtian saw clearly that Sister Zhu had turned into light and left, so he knew that she was eliminated and teleported away, not really dead, and he breathed a sigh of relief in his heart. What are you celebrating? The voice of the demon sounded behind him. Thank goodness you eliminated her first. Qiu Changtian said calmly, in that case, I won't pretend to be weak anymore. As he said that, he suddenly clasped his hands together. The Great Freedom Heavenly Demon instantly felt the danger and immediately pounced on his back without hesitation, but it bounced back as if it had hit a wall. From Qiu Changtian's back, the Qinxuming sword had already broken out of his body, and the Qingqi was rising on the sword, completely resisting the invisible invasion of the Heavenly Demon. Then, the innate 5 elements of Chaos Divine Light radiated endlessly from Qiu Changtian's fingers. The Great Freedom Heavenly Demon obviously recognized this light, put away the cynical expression on his face, and opened his mouth to let out a loud scream. The hallucinogenic effect of the heavenly demon's voice was extremely strong. Even the seven-hole delicate heart, which could resist illusions, could not withstand it, but the Ditto heart was immune to illusions, so Qiu Cheng's Iron was not affected at all. Despite this, he still pretended to be controlled, and his expression became dull and lifeless. When the demon saw that the magic worked, he quickly moved away, avoiding the direction of the Qin's human sword, and turned into black light again to pounce on Qiu Cheng's Iron's body. The next second, the great five elements divine light suddenly burst out and hit the great freedom demon directly. The opponent's body, like black fog, melted instantly like white snow under the scorching sun. Before Qiu Cheng's Iron could breathe a sigh of relief, he saw the opponent emerge from another direction. At first, it was just a small wisp of undetectable black smoke, but it soon grew back into the image of a woman, and said with a gloomy face, "The great freedom demon is immortal. You know to use the innate five elements divine light to hit me, but you don't know this. Immortal and indestructible." Qiu Cheng's Iron suddenly felt it was difficult, and asked Kunlun Jin again. "Well, it can't be eliminated by ordinary means." Kunlun Mirror replied, "But it can be sealed and then locked in a remote place, which is almost the same as death. To seal it, you have to set up a formation in advance." Qiu Cheng's Iron said angrily, "Without a formation, what can I use to seal a great freedom heavenly demon? How about using the fragment of the Butian stone?" Su Mingjian reminded. "Forget it." Qiu Cheng's Iron hesitated for a moment, but still shook his head. Although there was no one around at this time, and the only enemy, the great freedom heavenly demon, had been scanned as a secret realm, not a cultivator who came in with them in advance, Qiu Cheng's Iron still maintained a certain just-in-case caution and did not intend to expose the existence of the fragment of the Butian stone. "Anyway, it's a test, so let's fight this demon." Qiu Cheng's Iron pinched the sword formula with his right hand, and the Chinsuming sword quickly rose, aiming the tip of the sword at the great freedom heavenly demon. To deal with such a high-level demon, ordinary means are probably ineffective, and it is necessary to use equally high-level, first-class attack means. So he thought for a moment, and slapped his left hand on his waist. The Wonxai Bang Wepsen sword and Bangtime Kun sword flew out one after another, and the three swords stood up and floated around. For ordinary Shushan sword immortals, controlling two swords at the same time is already the limit, but Ling Yun had previously broken the Kingling Divine Pearl given by the Yuan family's ancestor as a treasure of divine consciousness for external protection, so he could control three swords at the same time. The face of the demon twitched constantly. He knew that the Chinsuming sword was no longer an ordinary item, but he didn't expect that there were actually two such high-level flying swords. The Wonxai Bang Wepsen sword was full of murderous aura, and it was an extremely ferocious demon cult flying sword at first glance. The Wangtime Kun sword was simple and heavy, with a restrained divine light, and it looked extremely difficult to deal with. When these three swords came out at the same time, the great freedom demon, who originally wanted to fight quickly, also showed a cautious and vigilant expression. She also activated her magic power, and a large amount of black mist surged out of her body, quickly spreading in all directions. The great art of ecstasy and delusion. Kunlun Mirror warned, "Try not to touch the black fog, it will penetrate into your sea of consciousness and erode your consciousness." Qiu Cheng's Iron remained silent, and again urged the five elements divine light to sweep over the black fog. Soon all the approaching black fog was cleaned up. Seeing that his own black fog was restrained, the demon did not stop his magic, but continued to release more black fog, as if he wanted to compete with Qiu Cheng's Iron for true essence. As the surrounding black fog became thicker and thicker, even the vision was obscured, completely hiding the figure of the demon. In addition, this thing will erode the consciousness, so when ordinary cultivators encounter this situation, they are equivalent to being in the dark and can only fight blindly. But Qiu Cheng's Iron was not panicked at all, just solemnly ordered, "A mirror, scan." Kunlun Mirror quickly scanned, and Qiu Cheng's Iron saw a gust of black wind with extremely fast speed, which was taking advantage of the cover of the black fog and making a fast detour around him. I think it was looking for an opportunity to attack by surprise. You don't dare to approach my flying sword, so you plan to break through from a place where there is no flying sword? Thinking of this, Qiu Cheng's Iron slowly pinched the sword formula. Then the Chinsuming sword, the Wonxai Bang Wepsen sword, and the Wangtime Kun sword also began to rotate around him. The gap between the swords quickly disappeared, making the demon secretly say that it was abominable. "Let me tell you something. I have to go on a business trip tomorrow for at least a week, so I can only update once a day from now on. I will resume updating twice a day after I come back, but I don't know when I can come back yet. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Mundo Fanfic Novelers, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelers. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 953 Past. Isn't this great freedom heavenly demon too difficult to deal with? Kyo Chang-time looked solemn. For so many days, he tried to stab it to death with the Chin's-human sword, melted with the innate invisible divine light, and even used the Wang-Time-kun sword to summon mountains to suppress it. But no matter what means he used to cut the grass and eradicate the roots, the next second the demon would pop up from somewhere and return to its original state in an instant. Isn't this human cultivator too difficult to deal with? The great freedom heavenly demon also looked ugly. It is certainly not a masochist who deliberately performs the stunt of "you can't kill me." Every time Kyo Chang-time attacked, it also tried hard to dodge. But no matter how it disguised its own tracks, the opponent could always find its traces at the first time, as if it had installed surveillance equipment on it, then stab it with a sword, sweep it with divine light, and even have a mountain pressing down on it, smashing it down on its head. If it weren't for the fact that the great freedom heavenly demon was immortal, it would have been reduced to ashes countless times by now. There is no other way, I can only delay time, Kyo Chang-time thought to himself. Anyway, it is just a test of the secret realm, try to delay until everyone else is dead, and then I will die last. Now it seems that I can only fight with the opponent, the demon thought to himself. Although it is a bit outrageous that a great free demon cannot take down a human cultivator in the nascent soul realm, the fact is that the opponent has all kinds of evil means, and top-level flying swords, Taoist methods, and magic weapons are thrown out as if they are free. It really has no confidence that it can quickly take down the opponent. It can only wait until the opponent's true essence is exhausted and at the mercy of others before taking action. Both sides reached a consensus without prior agreement, so they slowed down the rhythm of the attack and began to save their own consumption as much as possible to prepare for a protracted war. After a few days, Kyo Chang-time was fine, but the great free demon had already noticed something wrong. How come the true essence of this human cultivator seems to be endless and can never be consumed? It immediately became suspicious, and after a long time of dealing with Kyo Chang-time, it finally discovered the problem. Every time it turned from its body into black mist, because it had to switch from vision to quasi-consciousness, its perception ability would fail for a moment, just like the blinking of the human race. Although the vision would disappear in an instant, most people could not perceive their own blinking. The human cultivator on the opposite side precisely seized these fleeting opportunities, quickly threw a pill from his sleeve into his mouth, and then slowly refined it to restore his true essence, and he was still immersed in the beautiful dream of consuming the opponent, and did not notice that the opponent was secretly breaking the rules. Thinking of this, the great freedom demon immediately became furious. It has always been the role of the demon to play with food, but now it has been teased by a prey. It viciously urged the magic power, releasing endless black fog, almost covering the entirety in Men Palace secret realm. This mist is not ordinary demonic energy, but is called 9 Heavens and 10 Earths black demon blood transformation method. If a mortal cultivator touches it even a little bit, his flesh and blood will be immediately transformed, and no medicine can cure it. Kyo Chang-time clasped his hands together and released the 5 elements divine light, which blocked the surrounding blood-transforming demonic energy outside and prevented it from advancing. The great freedom heavenly demon quickly changed his tactics and suddenly condensed countless fine ice needles in the blood-transforming demonic energy. The great mysterious needle of Tuluo is translucent when it is still, but once it flies, it will become completely transparent and invisible. The body of the person who is hit will be immediately frozen, the body will be necrotic, and the cold will invade the body, making it difficult to save himself. However, Kyo Chang-time has the ability to scan. Although the great mysterious needle flies silently, it cannot escape his eyes. He just clasped his hands together and released the 5 elements divine light, which fixed all the great mysterious needles of Tuluo that were close to him, and then used the power of the 5 elements to transform them all. The great freedom demon was so annoyed that he simply used his body skills at the fastest speed and rushed towards Kyo Chang-time at full speed. Kyo Chang-time still clasped his hands together and urged the 5 elements divine light to come out, quickly brushing the great freedom demon, and his body was immediately annihilated by 99%. The demon turned into black smoke and was reborn in the distance, shouting angrily, 5 elements divine light, why is it always the 5 elements divine light? It seems that you have no other skills. In response to it, a huge mountain suddenly appeared from the top of its head, and then smashed down with an overwhelming force. The great freedom demon quickly turned into an invisible body, dodged this extremely large scale to hand pressure, and then emerged in the distance. Human, what is your name? Without launching an attack immediately, the great freedom demon suddenly asked. My Taoist name is Changzhen. Qiu Changtian said slowly. Changzhen, huh? The great freedom demon sneered, this world has entered the final stage of destruction. You'll die sooner or later. Why don't you be swallowed by me directly? At least I can guarantee that you will not suffer any pain. Huh? Qiu Changtian also sneered, you are just an illusion from the secret realm here, not a real demon. Why are you still talking here? The demon was about to continue talking, but suddenly his body stopped. The old man who appeared before suddenly appeared in front of Qiu Changtian again, and asked him with a strange look. Since you know it is an illusion from the secret realm, why do you still want to talk to it? Senior. Qiu Changtian bowed and said, because there is no way to win, so I can only delay time. But I said that the test is about fortune and luck. The old man said with an unhappy look, to be so clever, isn't it inconsistent with my previous rules? The other party didn't see through my strategy at delaying time. Even if 99% of it is due to my ability, isn't there a 1% element of luck? Qiu Changtian looked at him in surprise. Old man. He was shocked for a long time before he slowly said, although it is a very far-fetched explanation, it does not violate the rules I set in advance. Besides, you can find this place, to some extent, you have to attribute it to luck. I set up a great free demon here. According to common sense, it is impossible for a Union Realm cultivator to find this place to survive, so this luck should be regarded as obvious bad luck. But you happen to have so many means of saving your life and can survive the attack of the great free demon. Is this also some kind of turning point from bad to good? The old man said this and slowly fell into deep thought, while Qiu Changtian looked at him incredulously. Are you mistaken? It is indeed bad luck for a normal Union Realm cultivator to encounter a great free demon. The reason why I can survive is because my strength is so awesome. What does this have to do with bad luck? Suddenly, as if by some strange coincidence, Qiu Changtian asked, why did you release a great free demon into the depths of the Kunlun Mountains? Because this was once the cave where I lived, the old man replied indifferently, I just found a guard dog to guard the cave. Did he open up this place? Qiu Changtian turned around again and finally noticed the ancient statue of Tai King Tianzun enshrined in the land temple. Its facial features can't be said to be very similar to that of the old man, but it can only be said to be exactly the same. Chapter 954 must be Chaos de Luo Jingxian Senior, A the Great Pure Heavenly Lord of Duo and Morality. Qiu Changtian bowed his hands. The Great Pure Heavenly Lord of Duo and Morality. The old man asked in surprise, what kind of Taoist name is that? Qiu Changtian was startled when he heard that. Looking at the old man's expression, it didn't seem like he was lying. Oh, with his terrifying cultivation and high status, he probably wouldn't bother to lie about it. So he's really not the great pure heavenly lord of Duo and Morality. Oh, maybe it's a Taoist name that the human race collectively gave to him after he left this world. Kunlun Jing explained. Qiu Changtian thought about it and thought it was possible, so he stopped worrying about the other party's identity. Let's not talk about anything else. The old man continued calmly, originally, this secret realm has its own rules, and it is not easy for me to interfere. But the reason why I came out to stop you is that now there are no other cultivators in the secret realm except you. If you continue to fight against the demon, I don't know how long it will take. It's just luck. Qiu Changtian said modestly, I'm sorry to trouble you, senior. The old man waved his hand and said, it's just luck, this is not a humble statement. Fortune and luck are the most difficult things to grasp in this world. Some people try their best but live a mediocre life and are unwilling to die. Some people are idle and lazy but encounter opportunities and rise to the top. To get the world luck is already the most difficult thing in the world. If you really got the position of the Master of the Seven Treasures Chuan Yuan by luck, you should say it proudly. But in my opinion, your ability to pass this time is not so much luck, but the result of your past accumulation of experience. But how many great opportunities did you have to accumulate to your current level of cultivation? At this point, the old man suddenly sneered again and said, let's not talk about this. The outside world is about to win, right? What do you mean by this, senior? Qiu Changtian immediately became alert, thinking that the old man in this secret realm was not an illusion, but a powerful clone who could sense the situation in the outside world. Hey, the old man sneered, only when the end of the world is approaching, these 4 secret realms from Bayujing to Dakyuan Ming Palace will be open to the world. Since you can enter the Kaibaho Chuan Yuan secret realm, it means that the outside world can't last much longer. What's the matter? Didn't your sect tell you about this? Kyo changed iron. I would like to hear the details. He decided to pretend that he didn't know and see if he could get more information from this old man. Maybe there are some secrets that even those immortals don't know. It's not complicated to explain. The old man turned around and said with his hands behind his back, birth, aging, sickness and death are the cycles of nature. No matter whether they are mortals or cultivators, they cannot escape this cycle. Even if it is the world, since it has a starting point at birth in time, it will naturally have an end of destruction. And the world you're in has actually entered the late stage of its lifespan. Haven't you discovered that many powerful Taoist methods in history have been lost one after another? Indeed. Kyo changed and pondered and said, I originally thought that it was because everyone in the cultivation world was too selfish and unwilling to pass on the Taoist secrets, which led to the extinction of the Taoism once the sect was destroyed. What you said is indeed a reason. The old man sneered, but think about it, the more powerful the Taoist secrets, the stronger the cultivator who masters it, and the strength of the entire sect that it is in charge of can be significantly improved, and it will also be easier to recruit talented disciples. Why would such a sect weaken or even fall into a state of destruction at some point? Kyo changed and thought for a moment and asked tentatively, Senior, do you mean that there is a problem with the recruitment of disciples? The world's lifespan has entered its late stage, which will inevitably lead to a decrease in the concentration of spiritual energy between heaven and earth. The old man said indifferently, geniuses will still emerge, but the overall quantity and quality will inevitably continue to decrease. In the past, in the sects, the elite disciples all had powerful and unique skills, but slowly no one could cultivate to perfection, and then everyone could only cultivate to the point where they could barely use it, and then it was difficult to get started. Until no one could get started, what else could be done except for the loss of the skills? In addition to the reason you mentioned, everyone cherished their own skills and was unwilling to pass on their unique skills to people other than their own disciples, which aggravated the deterioration of the overall strength of the cultivation world. If I am not mistaken, there are only a handful of Chaos Dailyo Jingxian outside now, right? Kyo changed iron. What's the matter, is there more than 10 people? The old man stroked his beard in surprise and said, that's beyond my expectation. Reporting to the senior. Kyo changed iron bowed and said, now there is no Chaos Dailyo Jingxian, only Dailyo Jingxian. The old man was stunned for a moment, then said in shock, there is not even a Chaos Dailyo Jingxian. This is too much decline. In this case, aren't you destined to be buried with this world? May I ask, senior? Kyo changed and was also surprised and said, what do you mean by destined to be buried with this world? As far as I know, if you can ascend to heaven, you can rely on the power of ascension to transcend this world and go to the fairer land. How can it be that simple? The old man frowned and denied, the so-called power of ascension is just to get rid of the constraints of this world. You must know that from this world to the next world, there is an almost infinite chaos galaxy in the middle, and there are many demons obstructing. If you can't become a Chaos Dailyo Jingxian, you don't have the Chaos Immortal body. How can you get through so many difficulties and obstacles? You'll definitely die halfway, there is no other possibility. To ascend to what you call the fairer land, one must at least have the realm strength of a Chaos Dailyo Golden Immortal. Well, if one only has the cultivation of a Dailyo Golden Immortal, but can be accompanied and protected by a Chaos Dailyo Golden Immortal, then one can also cross the Chaos Galaxy. I see. Kyo changed and exclaimed in his heart, and asked, what about Golden Immortals, Heavenly Immortals, and Earthly Immortals? The origin of Golden Immortals is flawed, and there is no possibility of successful ascension, whether or not they have the protection of a Chaos Dailyo Golden Immortal. The old man said without hesitation, what realm are Heavenly Immortals and Earthly Immortals? Kyo changed and explained it, and the old man sneered unceremoniously. What's Heavenly Immortals and Earthly Immortals? They are all incomplete things. What kind of immortals are they? Boy, if you want to ascend to heaven in the future, you can only be promoted to a Chaos Dailyo Golden Immortal. Don't dream of other possibilities. As he said this, he suddenly waved his sleeves. Kyo changed and felt the world spinning, and then he realized that he was no longer in Kaibaho Chuan Yuan. The surroundings were all dark and chaotic, with a few stars flickering like lamps. This place was actually outside the celestial sphere, in the universe. Chapter 955. The Road to Ascension. This is outside the celestial sphere. The old man appeared beside Qiu Chang's Hein and said in a deep voice, "It is also in the Chaos Heavenly River." The so-called Chaos Heavenly River looks like the water of the deep sea, but it is actually disorder chaos, and it is also that coldest place in the world. When ordinary cultivators enter the Heavenly River, their bodies have to constantly consume their true essence to fight against the chaotic true cold. Once they lose their true essence, they will immediately die from the exhaustion of heat. Senior. Qiu Chang's Hein asked, "I have also entered the water of the Heavenly River in the Kaibaho Chuan Yuan secret realm before. Although it is extremely cold, the consumption of true essence to fight against it does not seem to be much. Then do you know how far you need to fly from this world to the fairer land?" The old man asked him back. How much?" Qiu Chang's Hein said he didn't know. When the two worlds are closest, the old man said slowly, "It's about 20 trillion miles." Qiu Chang's Hein, "Why do you want to become a Chaos Golden Immortal?" The old man sneered, "Because chaos is immortal and the true essence is infinite, so it doesn't matter how long it takes, and you will be able to ascend to the immortal realm sooner or later. The golden immortal below this is just that the magic power is close to infinity. But the so-called close is not really infinite after all. At a distance of 20 trillion miles, even the smallest defect in the origin will become a fatal cause." Qiu Chang's Hein thought for a moment, and said thoughtfully, 20 trillion miles is too far away, so it is impossible to even carry elixirs or restore the true essence. But what if you practice a similar breathing secret technique? This is the second point I want to say next. The old man waved his long sleeves, and the two came to another place while the sky spun. The celestial sphere where the cultivation world is located is no longer visible here, but a strange celestial sphere as black as ink appears in front of the two. The sixth heaven outside the sky is the heaven of transformation and freedom. The old man said in a cold voice, "A miniature celestial sphere that is much smaller than the world of cultivation. The ruler of it is the heaven of transformation and freedom, and he is also the main clan that commands all the chaotic demons within the nearby 7 billion miles. After you become an immortal, once you leave the barrier of the celestial sphere, you will be harassed and attacked by various demons from outside the sky all the time. Take the heaven of transformation and freedom as an example. If hundreds or thousands of them surround you, can you still stop and deal with them? The heaven of transformation and freedom has an immortal body, so it is definitely not possible to confront it head-on." Qiu Chang's Hein said with a wry smile, "You can only escape. Since you want to escape, how can you have time to breathe and refine your energy and restore your true essence?" The old man asked bluntly, "Even if you go out of 7 billion miles, leave the territory of the heaven of transformation and freedom, and enter the kingdom of the heaven of Aegeonize. Escape from the kingdom of Aegeonize a heavenly demon, and enter the place of the non-thinking heavenly demon. In this chaotic universe, there are all kinds of demons as numerous as the sands at the Ganges River, not to mention trillions. Every 20 trillion miles to the immortal realm is occupied by all kinds of demons, leaving you no place to rest. Only the Chaos Daluo Jingxian has endless true essence, so he can fight if he wants to, and escape if he wants to, without being bound or restricted. The rest of the immortals who are lacking, when their true essence is exhausted, without the protection of the Chaos Daluo Jingxian, will be devoured and eaten by many demons. So that's it." Qiu Chang's Hein suddenly realized. It turns out that there are so many difficulties and obstacles in ascending from the world of cultivation to the world of immortals. No wonder the immortals such as Kisan and Changmei want to stay in the world of cultivation and refuse to ascend. Although on the surface they say that they are worried about the sect, the real reason is probably that they have noticed the clues and know that without the protection of the Chaos Daluo Jingxian, it is impossible to pass through the 20 trillion miles of ascension distance. By the way, there is one more thing I want to ask you, Senior. Qiu Chang's Hein bowed again and said, "After the normal ascension to immortality, one must be at Chaos Daluo Jingxian to ascend to the fairer land, so is there a shortcut? I once heard the seniors of the sect speculate that if one can reach the secret realm of the Great Light Palace, there will be a way to ascend to the fairer land, right? Where did you hear this from?" The old man looked at him strangely, and after a long while he said, "Yes and no. On the road to cultivation, one must take one step at a time. If the foundation in front is not solid, the steps behind will become more and more empty. It's like if your dam is defective, it will be impossible to achieve perfection when you form an infant. These are all linked together. However, the broken sky can be repaired, so why can't the defective origin be repaired? In the 4 secret realms of Baiyujing, Angjingke, Kaibaho Chuan Yuan and Dadyuan Palace, there are corresponding methods to repair the origin. The method to repair the origin, Kyo Chang-Time asked thoughtfully. If so, it means that there is no need to achieve the Chaos Dailo Jingxi and to have the possibility of going to the Fairyland. Stupid. The old man denied mercilessly. How can this thing that is repaired after birth be as perfect as the one that is formed before? Even if Nui repaired the leak in the sky in the past, how long can the repaired sky last? It is not even comparable to the sky dome formed when the normal celestial sphere was born. Even if it makes up for the flaws in the origin, it is actually impossible to make it perfect. It's just that we, the pioneers who have left the world of cultivation, are worried that if the world is about to end in the future, you, the unpromising descendants of the human race, can only wait for death, so we leave you a glimmer of hope. At this point, the old man was silent for a moment, and then said, although the celestial spheres are tens of trillions of miles apart, they will also attract each other. The strong suction from the distant fairyland will bring a great burden to the celestial sphere in the world of cultivation, which will not only cause the spiritual environment to be disordered, but also sharply reduce the lifespan of the sky dome. However, the moment the sky dome is damaged again is also the moment when the fairyland is closest to the world of cultivation. At the time, if you have not become a Chaos Dailo Jinxian, you can go to the secret realm of the Great Light Palace and make a final attempt to ascend. There are some mechanisms we left behind that can increase your success rate of ascension. At this point, the old man shook his head again and sighed, but the chance of success is also very small, far safer than not ascending to the Chaos Dailo Jinxian. Thank you, senior. Kyo Chang-Time pondered for a long time, and finally bowed sincerely. This old man was obviously a great human being who had ascended to the immortal world in the ancient times many years ago. It stands to reason that he has no connection with the cultivation world and does not need to leave any backup. But they still built the 4 secret realms from Baiyuzheng to Dakyuanming Palace for the ascension of the younger generation of the human race without much benefit, just based on this selfless heart. Kyo Chang-Time deserves a bow. No need to be polite. The old man waved his hand and said, if you really appreciate my kindness, cultivate to the Chaos Dailo Jinxian as soon as possible, and don't let all the knowledge I taught you go to waste. Chapter 956. The Secret of the Sleeve. After leaving the cosmic illusion, Kyo Chang-Time was sent back to the 7 Treasures mysterious garden secret realm. Although the sky was cracked, there was no more river falling down, and there were no dark clouds in the sky. There was only the vast sea below, sparkling under the scorching sun. In addition to him, there were 11 people around him. Ling Yunpo, Luo Yan, Wei Dongliu, and his 3 trumpets all advanced, needless to say. Junior sisters Yu passed the tribulation half a year ago and was promoted to Yuning without any waves, just to accompany him to the 7 Treasures mysterious garden secret realm. Unfortunately, she was defeated by him, who turned into a great free demon, and finally failed to successfully enter. Not only that, among the remaining 8 people, there were also no senior sister and Miss Luli, but there were 2 other acquaintances. Yingadeo and Yang, the last disciple of the White Bone Venerable, had been promoted to Yuning at some point, probably because Yingadeo spared no resources to cultivate him. Yogi Lai, why is this person also on the list of 12 people? Kyo Chang-Time has no clue at all. He can only wait until Wei Donliu's time limit to get the answer. Except for the 6 people of the orthodox magic path, the rest are all casual cultivators. Such an outrageous result will probably shock the 3 pure ones and 6 paths after leaving the secret realm. It is estimated that there is no need to wait until leaving the secret realm. As long as those famous cultivators favored by the elders are eliminated one after another, the sect will have noticed something wrong. Suddenly, there were drums, string music, and flute music, and there were whistles and songs, and there was also wonderful Buddhist chanting. The sound was ethereal and clear to the 9 depths. First look at the Kingsao Road, rising high, carrying the 9 colored clouds, and rising to the heaven. 8 scenes are raised together, and 3 white clouds fly together. The jade wheel rotates the feathered canopy, and the treasure tree is connected to the golden pool. The Emperor of Heaven is standing upright, and the wonderful lore is popular among people. The red book jade scripture, the yellow book is written in simple texts. 3 yuan and 8 festivals, go to the Jiri Blade treasure platform. The yang god forms a red heart, and the green and blue open the white lotus. The god flies thousands of miles and goes to the sky of the desire world. Hearing the latter, the god flies thousands of miles and goes to the sky of the desire world. Kyo Chang-Time was shocked, knowing that it was the backup left in the great light hall mentioned by the old man. When he came to his senses, everyone had been transferred out of the secret realm and sent back to the vicinity of the North Pole pillar. Near the pillar, many cultivators were divided into 2 sides, clearly divided. The three pure ones of the Orthodox sect were on one side, and most of them looked serious and solemn, obviously because the actual situation was too different from the expected situation. The 6 parts of the demon sect were on the other side, and most of them looked nervous and alert, mainly because they were afraid that the Orthodox sect would suddenly go crazy and kill the demon sect and the independent cultivators together. As for the independent cultivators left directly after being eliminated, so how could they stay and wait? Qiu Chang's quickly returned to the Kunlun formation, first nodded to Zhu Yinlian, saying that he was fine to reassure her, and then went to the head of Ziwili sect and whispered, "Master, I'm glad to have fulfilled your mission. Let's go." The head of Ziwili sect said lightly. The Kunlun monks set out immediately, and thousands of lights rose into the sky. Qiu Chang's glanced around and saw that Penglai had already left first, while Shushan, which was left behind, could not hold back, and some people had already started fighting with the demon sect. Since the master of Kaibaho Chuan Yuan had already determined that fighting with the demon sect at this time would be purely harmful and useless, and Penglai could easily see through it, Kunlun would certainly not act on impulse. However, Shushan had already begun to vent their anger on the demon cult. If the war between the two sides involved the Kunlun monks, they could not easily withdraw, lest they be considered as not daring to fight back and damage their reputation. Therefore, as the head of Ziwei gave the order, dozens of Kunlun elders deliberately fell behind and threw a large number of magic weapons behind them, either defensive magic weapons or means of containment, intercepting between the demon cult and the Kunlun main formation. Such actions were naturally to guard against the demon cult. However, the demon cult did not launch any attack on Kunlun, but methodically shrank its front line to avoid expanding the war to outsiders. On the contrary, Shushan intentionally or unintentionally directed the attack towards Kunlun. It can be seen that although most of these Shushan sword immortals are ruthless, they are not completely without scheming. There are still a few high-level monks with bad intentions. Back to the Kunlun territory, before reaching the Tianzu, I saw the Red Pine Immortal suddenly flying down on his sword and rushing straight to Qiu Chang's iron. "Changzhen, what did you gain from this trip?" "Fortunately, I have fulfilled my mission," Qiu Chang's said with a bow. "Very good." Qisun Immortal was immediately delighted. "You follow me first." Without waiting for Ziwei sect master to speak, he took Qiu Chang's into the air and quickly flew towards Kunlun Tianzu. With such an unreliable sect guardian immortal, Ziwei sect master had no choice. He originally wanted to hold a sect commendation meeting to celebrate the victory of Elder Changzhen, but now he had to put it on hold temporarily. However, Qisun Immortal flew at full speed with Qiu Chang's to Kunlun Tianzu, rushed into Yuxu Palace, and entered the Tianmen Hall secret realm from the back hall. When he arrived at Tianmen Hall, Qiu Chang's scanned silently, and sure enough, he saw the pine and cypress tree in the original position, whether in position, size or shape, it was exactly the same as in the Kaibaho Chuan Yuan secret realm, and had never changed. How? The entrance to the Fashion Shiangdi passage is still there, unchanged. Kunlun Mira hesitated for a moment, and continued, "But we cannot be sure whether there are additional mechanisms and traps in the passage, unless we can go in and investigate." "It doesn't matter," Qiu Chang's said lightly, "as long as there is such a secret passage, it will be fine to enter the secret realm of Tianmen Palace." Before Kunlun Mira could say anything, he heard Qisun Immortal ask, "What is the secret realm motto this time?" Qiu Chang's recalled for a moment, and then recited the motto in detail. "So many." Qisun Immortal was surprised at first, but when he heard the following that flew thousands of miles and ascended to the heaven of the Desire Realm, he was relieved. In any case, it can be basically confirmed that there are secrets in the Great Light Palace that can help immortals ascend. Next, it is the question of how to reward Changzhen. Immortal Qisun and Master Ziwei agreed that Changzhen was the only candidate for the next master of Kunlun sect. From this perspective, Changzhen could use the resources of the entire Kunlun Tai King sect at will, so it was not easy to reward him with ordinary treasures. Thinking of this, Immortal Qisun said slowly, "Changzhen, this time you have not only made great contributions to the sect, but also make me owe you a favor. I have a secret scroll here, called the Natural Spirit Chapter of the Hollow in the Sky. This book is of the same level as the True Words of the Nine Heavens Kingway Realm, but it does not record the Kagome technique, but various immortal secrets. Now I will give it to you." "Thank you, Immortal." Qiu Chang's had neither ecstasy nor shock on his face. He just calmly took the jade slip handed over by Immortal Qisun and probed into it with his spiritual consciousness. In the jade slip, the first page recorded 6 big characters. The Secret of the Universe in the Sleeve. Chapter 957a. New flaw appears. The universe in the sleeve is a very rare immortal secret technique. Kyo Chang's Han looked back on the past. He had come into contact with so many cultivators in his life, but it seemed that only 3 people had used this secret technique, namely Lei Qian, Kisun Immortal, and Wangxiang Immortal. Lei Qian was a spy planted by the Heldo in the Tiangong workshop. Considering the scarcity of the immortal secret technique of the universe in the sleeve, Kyo Chang's Han believed that it was very likely that Taoist Luo knew this secret technique and taught it to Lei Qian. Kisun Immortal was the original owner of the natural spirit chapter of the Hollow in the Sky, so he naturally mastered this secret technique. As for Wangxiang Immortal, it is not known where he got this secret technique, but Kyo Chang's Han remembered that the fragments of the heaven-fixing stone in Pengliu King Temple were hidden by Wangxiang Immortal in a certain independent space. This space is usually in a folded state, so it cannot be transmitted by the Kunlun mirror, and must be opened by the universe in the sleeve. In this way, it is equivalent to the fragments of the heaven-fixing stone in Kunlun and Pengliu, which are now possible to be sought. Only Shushan and Hellroad are left. The fragments of the heaven-building stone of Shushan seem to have been hidden by the immortal Chanmei in the sword pillar of the demon locking tower to support the sealing barrier of the demon locking tower. Once taken away, the demon locking tower will be damaged. The fragments of the heaven-building stone of Hellroad are most likely buried by Taoist Luo in the depths of hell to purify the chaotic source of turpid air, thereby opening up a paradise where monks can live. Similarly, taking it away will cause the environment of Tuan to be destroyed, and it may even cause an explosion of turpid air in the depths of hell. The consequences are even more difficult to predict. What needs to be done next is, on the one hand, to grasp the world in the sleeve as soon as possible, and on the other hand, to find a sufficiently feasible plan to take the fragments of Shushan and Hellroad together. In this way, I don't have to continue to bear the guilt of deception and betrayal, and I don't have to worry and rack my brains every day. I, Cheng Yuanzhu, can finally be myself again. Wahahahahahaha. Kyo Chang's Han thought carefully. Although he has seen the dawn of success, the closer he is to success, the more he cannot take it lightly. Therefore, he quickly returned to the lecture room of Yuxu Palace, fulfilled his role as a good disciple, and told the headmaster Ziwei about the treasure given by the Red Pine Immortal. It turned out to be the natural spirit chapter of the Hollow in the Sky ? The headmaster Ziwei said in astonishment, "This book is a priceless treasure. You must not tell this to others, not even Pinyin, otherwise, if the matter is leaked, it will inevitably attract the covetousness of the immortals outside the sect." Disciple knows. Kyo Chang's Han's heart trembled, and he quickly agreed. Needless to say, the immortals of the demon sect are originally hostile to the orthodox sect. If there is a chance to kill Kyo Chang's Han, they will definitely do it even if there is no secret treasure. The immortals outside the sect mentioned by the headmaster Ziwei refers to those neutral immortals who are neither the orthodox sect nor the demon sect. Their identities are complicated, and they usually don't get involved in the struggle between good and evil. But if they knew that Kyo Chang's Han had the natural spiritual chapter of the Hollow in the Sky, they would probably have the idea of secretly attacking him. It can be seen that although the natural spiritual chapter of the Hollow in the Sky has never been heard of before, it must be a secret treasure of the same level as the Nine Heavens Pure Land Realm mantra. In addition to the sleeves of Qian Kung technique that is very useful to him, it seems that the rest of the magic spells must be practiced well. Back in the cave, Kyo Chang's Han saw Zhu Yingyan practicing breathing. Thinking about it carefully, junior sister Zhu is the real pride of heaven. Born in the Zhu family of Tianan, a noble family, she has a 7-skilled mind, gifted, and is extremely hard-working in practice, characteristics of the protagonist, and there is also an old grandfather who guides her, Fenlan, who lives in the Sea of Consciousness. If Kyo Chang's Han hadn't appeared out of nowhere, Zhu Yingyan would have been the chief of the Foundation Building Realm, the first Golden Elixir Master of Cunning, and the successor to the Headmaster. Zhu Yingyan was indeed worthy at these owners. This is how the cultivation world is. No matter how brilliant the second place is, people only care about the first place. It's okay, junior sister. After I leave Kunlun, the next headmaster position will definitely be yours. This can be regarded as my compensation to you. Kunlun Mirror. Don't you want to say something? Su Mingjin asked with a smile, what do you think? No, I'm tired. Kunlun Mirror said lightly, wish him happiness. Let's not talk about Kyo Chang's Han, but Zhu Yingyan meditated and regulated the aura around his body. He only heard Fenlan in his Sea of Consciousness say, Yes, just follow this route, cycle 3 times a day, and you will be able to purify your blood stably. Alas, Zhu Yingyan said with emotion, compared with my senior brother, my phoenix true blood is simply not worth mentioning. Fen Lan was silent for a long time, sighed and said, your senior brother is a rare genius. How many first-grade golden elixirs are there in the world? It can improve the rank of your bloodline. Although it can't let you catch up with him, it can finally narrow the gap. Indeed. Zhu Yingyan said here, and suddenly asked in surprise, it's strange. It takes at least 800 years of foundation building cultivation to form a first-grade golden elixir. Converted into various adventures, how many Purple Mansion secret realms and how many secret medicines and rare treasures are needed? In this regard, senior brother has never told me. At this point, she was a little depressed. I don't want senior brother to share these benefits with me. After all, most of the Purple Mansion secret realms are hard to come by, and it is impossible to bring people in again. But he didn't even mention it to me. Is he guarding against me? Don't think too bad of him. Fen Lan subconsciously wanted to persuade her, but on second thought, he guessed on a wing. In our time, although it was still rare for humans to form a first-grade golden elixir, it was not to the point where it is difficult to produce one in 1,000 years. The main reason was that the concentration of spiritual energy between heaven and earth dropped greatly, which slowed down the speed of daily breathing practice. You said that your senior brother has accumulated dozens of Purple Mansion secret realms. I think maybe he has some secrets that can avoid the disadvantages of the scarcity of spiritual energy between heaven and earth, and this secret is inconvenient to tell you for some reason. What secrets can it be? Zhu Yingyan frowned and asked, then shook his head, forget it, it's meaningless to guess like this. I'd better practice well by myself and not let my senior brother fall behind too much. The simple-minded sister Zhu temporarily suppressed her doubts in her heart and continued to focus on her own cultivation. Qiu Changtian had no idea that he had accumulated more and more flaws in the past, but he confidently ordered, a Jin, reload the file. Where to reload? Kumlin Jin asked. Let's go to Shushan first. Qiu Changtian said with a smile, wait for a while, and when Shushan gets the news of the Kaibaho Chuan Yuan secret realm from Kunlin, Ling Yunpa can form an infant. Chapter 958 Dragon Fox has understood everything. Donghuan realm, Beiming Fanyun. On the vast ice field, a silver-white dragon soared into the sky, its aura rushing to all directions, its voice shaking the 9 heavens. Then, she landed on the top of the iceberg and turned into a human form. Congratulations, Your Highness, for condensing the cave essence. The elders of the dragon clan, such as Long Yuan and Long Qi, had been waiting around the top of the tower for a long time and congratulated in unison. Long Hu did not answer, but just waved his hand casually, and the other elders were asked to disperse. So only Long Yuan and Long Qi were left on the field. Just as they were about to continue to congratulate and celebrate, they heard Long Hu say again, you don't need to flatter too much. Although this demon king of the cave essence realm is a big step forward in my cultivation, it is still far from being able to lead the dragon clan and compete with other princes in the Donghuan realm. Therefore, I decided to went to the Cold Sea tomorrow to carry out the next step of cultivation. The Cold Sea secret realm is a unique cave heaven inside the Beiming Fanyun. The water element is stern true water, which is extremely cold and yin in nature, and has a strong ability to stimulate the Jialong clan to refine their blood. But the risk is also huge. Because dragon blood itself is extremely strong, it conflicts with this cold and yin water. If you are not careful, the severe true water will invade your body, withering your meridians and freezing your internal organs, so only the demon kings in the cave realm can enter to practice. Long Hu had just passed the heavenly tribulation and entered the cave realm, and the next moment he wanted to continue practicing non-stop, which made Long Yuan and Long Qi feel a little too hasty. After staring at each other for a while, Long Yuan was the first to speak. Your Highness, the Cold Sea secret realm has not been opened for a long time. The cold water in it is too fierce and difficult to control. It is better to arrange a few elders to suppress and tame it first, and then go to practice. No need. Long rejected it directly. I have the secret technique of the Sky Fox, and I am not afraid of the cold water. Long Yuan. The blood of the Sky Fox clan is completely different from that of the Dragon clan. The temperament is mainly feminine, but no one knows whether it can resist the erosion of the cold water. Of course, Long Yuan couldn't say I don't think your method will work, Your Highness, and quickly turned his head to wink at Long Qi. Long Qi also said with a stiff face. Now the North Sea Fanyun is in ruins, and many matters still need Your Highness to decide. It's not too late to practice after everything is ready. Here. Long Yu smiled slightly and asked, Elder Longqi, are you teaching me to do things? I dare not. Longqi quickly denied and pleaded guilty. Dragon Fox was silent for a moment, then sighed and said, I have made up my mind, no need to persuade me anymore. She was of course very clear about Long Yu and Longqi's dissuasion, and she knew that if she insisted on going her own way, the two people with very different political views would only be forced to slowly unite. But she didn't want to wait any longer. Long Long did teach her how to play the art of political struggle, but Long Long had already abandoned her and ran away. Why should I listen to him? As long as I can be promoted to the ancestor as soon as possible, with the magical power bonus of the dual bloodline of Jielong and Tianhu, who can be the enemy in the same realm. By then, let alone the Jielong clan, even the Kalin, Kanglong, Xuangui, Thunao, and Beiyu outside will have to bow down to me under the absolute suppression of strength. Thinking of this, Dragon Fox couldn't help but gnashing her teeth. The ideal husband who once knew and stayed with her turned out to be a human who was disguised very deeply. Of course, it doesn't matter that he is a human, and I don't like him just because he is a dragon, but what does it mean that he suddenly left without saying goodbye? Will I turn against him now that I know his identity? What does he think of me? Long Hu even had a vague suspicion in her heart, fearing that Long Long had never really liked her from beginning to end. The reason why he was so close to her was just a show, in order to get the beauty and stone pendant left by her mother. With Long Long's sudden disappearance, the beauty and stone pendant also disappeared, and it was hard for Long Hu not to associate and doubt this. Thinking of this, she felt a faint, heart-wrenching pain, and she wanted to catch Long Long in front of her immediately and question him hoarsely. Of course, if Long Long was really a human, he would have probably escaped back to the human world at this time. To track him down, she must first leave behind Mingfanying and return to Donghuang realm. Strength. Only a strong cultivation realm can help her return to the East Empire realm as soon as possible and find a way to go to the human world. Therefore, now Long Hu does not want to delay even a second, and wishes to cultivate to the ancestral realm immediately, and then leave behind Mingfanying at the speed of light. What internal checks and balances, what divisions and fights, are no longer important. I long for power. Shushan, King Luo Peak. What a leisurely day. Ling Yunpo stood at the door of the Taoist temple, sweeping the fallen leaves leisurely. Shushan, the small account of the Qin sword master, cannot practice now. Once practiced, it will attract the attention of the people around, and everyone will be concerned about when can I form a baby and when can I beat Kunlun Chaingun, and then it will cause endless troubles. Therefore, he recently found a perfect excuse, saying that he was feeling the sword way and running in with the Qin's human sword. There are two ways for the Shushan sword immortal to practice the sword way: signal practice and martial practice. The former is to sit in meditation, visualize the enemy in the mind, and then duel swords. The latter is naturally to practice with people in reality. Ling Yunpo, who does nothing but sweep the fallen leaves, drink wine, and tease the monkeys in the mountains every day, is completely unlike the practice of the Shushan sword immortal. Instead, it is a bit like the style of tempering the mind in Kunlun. However, the Qin's human sword has not been used for 10,000 years, and no one knows what the character of this sword is. Maybe it asked the Qin sword master to do this. In short, it is better for everyone to stay out of the Qin sword master's business. After sweeping the fallen leaves, Ling Yunpo was about to stretch his body, and suddenly he saw a wild fruit thrown from the opposite woods. He calmly dodged, only to find that several white-haired monkeys were squatting on the branches, baring their teeth and shouting at him. There were no monkeys in King Luo Peak, but there were some mountain leopards and deer. These monkeys probably migrated here years ago, and there were quite a few of them who were quite intelligent. They soon became the dominant monster group nearby. The monkeys threw wild fruits at Ling Yunpo, which seemed like the weak trying to please the strong, but when Ling Yunpo looked carefully, he realized that those wild fruits were unripe sour fruits. The monkeys were playing a prank. Before he could figure out how to fight back, he saw a few stones flashing through the air, and the monkeys were knocked down one by one, screaming and running away. How is junior brother? Zisu stepped over the threshold of the Taoist temple and said with concern, if those monkeys disturbed your understanding of the sword, I will go and drive them away. That's not the case. Ling Yunpo waved his hand and smiled. How is senior sister's preparation for the infant formation tribulation now? Chapter 959. Sending a sheep into the tiger's mouth. Since Su Jin came out of retreat and became the headmaster, Zisu's status in Shushan has naturally risen. She has all kinds of cultivation resources and can take whatever she wants. But she did not take the opportunity to squander the cultivation resources and make up for the past missed cultivation. She just stayed in the King Luo Peak Taoist temple every day, drinking a pot of wine and holding a sword, enjoying herself. If Ling Yunpo had not given her the opportunity to cultivate to the great perfection of the golden core realm last time, who knows how many years it would take for senior sister to form a baby. It's probably more than half a month before the tribulation. Zisu said softly, "Are you asking this because you were worried about my sister?" "I'm not worried about my sister." Ling Yunpo said with a smile, "If the daughter of the headmaster can't survive the nascent soul tribulation, why is the Shushan King sect still competing with Kunlun for the first place? Just retire." "How can you say that?" Zisu quickly signaled him to shut up. "Junior brother, you are the Chin Sword Master now, you can't say such crazy things. Otherwise, if someone hears it, I'm afraid they will take the opportunity to make some trouble." "Who dares to make trouble for the Chin Sword Master?" Ling Yunpo sneered. "I'll kill him." The two chatted and laughed casually for a while, and suddenly someone came on a sword, saying that the Shushan headmaster summoned Ling Yunpo to discuss matters. Ling Yunpo said goodbye to senior sister and flew away from King Luo Peak. Zisu looked at Ling Yunpo's back, was silent for a long time, and returned to the Taoist temple silently. She didn't know if it was her illusion, but she always felt that there seemed to be an invisible barrier between her and her junior brother. It was really strange. When Ling Yunpo arrived at the depths of the demon-locking tower, he saw Su Jian talking to the long-browed immortal. In other words, it was not a very formal sect meeting, but a private meeting between master and disciple. "Kim Fen, you've come just in time." Su Jian called him closer and asked, "How have you been getting along with the Qin sword recently?" "It's still the same as before." Ling Yunpo leads skillfully. As a divine sword, Qin is very arrogant and doesn't like to be polite to his disciples. Usually, the disciples say 3 sentences and it only answers 1 sentence. In the sea of consciousness, the Qin sword could no longer endure it and shouted, "Wow, Master Sword Master! What you said is too shameless. What do you mean by unwilling to be polite? Let me ask you, when was there a time when you asked me for a favor and I didn't respond in time to help you? If you have the guts, don't order me around anymore. You're ruining my reputation in front of me, right? As a divine sword, you're arrogant, right? I'll show you what true arrogance is." It was making all kinds of fierce condemnations, but Su Jian and the Chanmei immortal outside naturally couldn't hear them. Hearing what they said, they looked at each other for a moment, and their expressions were quite helpless. Because the Qin sword has been hidden for too long, no one knows what kind of character this sword has, but what Ling Yunpo said is undoubtedly in line with the world's imagination of the divine sword. Isn't it normal for a divine object to be arrogant? It seems that the Qin sword master wants to fully exert the power of this divine sword, but it seems that there is still a long way to go. Ahem. Su Jian continued to speak, saying, "The situation of the Qin sword, the master probably already knows. Regarding the Qin sword, in the past, only when the last Qin sword master had dealt with it. Can you tell me about the general situation?" Qin sword? Ling Yunpo was stunned for a moment, and then realized that the master was planning to take the Qin sword. After all, having obtained Long, you want to go back to Shu is the nature of the human race. Since there is already a Qin sword master, why can't we continue to work hard and create another Qin sword master? It would be abnormal not to think in this direction. So Ling Yunpo told Su Jian again about Aang Zhao's needs in detail. In short, although Aang Zhao died, he always cared about the whereabouts of his wife and daughter, so his heroic spirit is immortal. If you want to get the Sun True Darkness sword from him, you must send someone to obtain information about the Eastern Empire realm. Ling Yunpo had of course already obtained the information about the Eastern Empire realm. The problem is that once the Sun True Darkness sword is taken from Aang Zhao, the Sun True Fire that separates the two worlds will disappear. By then, not only will the human race know that the Sun True Darkness sword has recognized its master, but the demon race can also invade the cultivation world through the Tianqian realm gate, and the situation will become extremely complicated. As a spy, Ling Yunpo naturally hates uncontrollable variables. Even if he wants to plot against the Sun True Darkness sword, he must at least wait until he obtains the fragment of the Heaven Repairing Stone and completes the Heaven Repairing Plan. After listening to Ling Yunpo, Su Jian was not surprised. He had actually learned about the specific situation with the long-eyebrowed immortal in advance, and now he asked the person involved again just in case. As for the Sun Sword, the main challenge is to deal with the last Sun Sword Master. The other party's heroic spirit has been immortal for thousands of years, which shows how deep his obsession is. There is definitely no way to get around it from the side. If you want to fulfill the other party's wish head-on, you will fall into the so-called egg paradox. Without the Sun Sword, you can't pass through the Sun Fire and enter the East Empire Realm. Without entering the East Empire Realm, you can't inquire about the wife and daughter of the last Sun Sword Master, and it is impossible to get the Sun Sword. It's a dead end. Sujian sighed and finally gave up the idea. He only heard the long-browed immortal say again, Kim Fen, I called you here this time. In addition to asking about the Qin and Sun Swords, I have something else to tell you. What do you think of this Shushan Locking Demon Tower? Shushan Locking Demon Tower? Ling Yunpa was a little confused. You asked me what I think? Of course I am flying in the air to see. What else can I see? Unable to figure out the intention of the long-browed immortal, he organized his words slightly and said slowly and conservatively, the Shushan Locking Demon Tower is the important place for my Shushan to suppress the demons in the world, and it plays a key role in protecting the human race. In addition, it also provides a large number of precious cultivation resources for my Shushan, so its importance is self-evident. Well, the long-browed immortal nodded and said, that's roughly right. This locking demon tower holds a large number of powerful demons. They are always thinking about breaking out of their confinement and going out to cause chaos and harm the world. Although the locking demon tower itself has powerful restrictions are dead objects after all, and someone still needs to guard it. And the person guarding it needs to have enough strength and be a cultivator that Shushan can absolutely trust. Otherwise, if they collude with the demons in the tower, the world will be in danger. Although he said it euphemistically, Ling Yunpa could hear it. Did he mean to ask me to guard the locking demon tower? Sure. I'm interested in the fragments of the heaven repairing stone in the forbidden area of the demon locking tower. No, I'm interested in guarding the demon locking tower. Just continue. Of course, guarding the demon locking tower is a major responsibility of the immortals of all generations, and I have no intention of shirking my responsibility. Seeing that Ling Yunpa did not show any strange expression, the long-eyebrowed immortal continued cautiously, but recently Kunlun seems to have obtained clues about the secret realm of the Seven Treasures Mysterious Garden. If the Seven Treasures Mysterious Garden is opened, the Great Bright Palace will not be far away. I will go to the Great Bright Palace by then. If you can help guard the demon locking tower and wait for me to come back from the secret realm, that would be great. The immortal was so humble that Ling Yunpa didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He showed an apologetic expression and readily agreed. Since the immortal has summoned, how dare King Feng disobey? Besides, the demon locking tower is an important place in our Shushan, and it is also related to the safety of the human race. As the master of the Qin sword, Kim Feng naturally has no choice but to do this. That's great. The long-browed immortal was overjoyed. In that case, you stay in the locking demon tower for a few days. I will explain all the restrictions to you and then transfer the authority to you, okay? What do you mean by sending a sheep into a tiger's mouth? Ling Yunpa showed a serious look on his face and nodded, but he sneered in his heart. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Mundo Fanfic Novelers, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelers. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 960. The Favor of Shushan. The construction time of Shushan Demon Locking Tower is unknown. The whole tower has 95 floors. According to convention, the 1st to 29th floors are used to imprison untransformed monsters, the 30th to 49th floors are used to imprison transformed monsters, the 50th to 89th floors are used to imprison Dongyuan Realm Monster Kings, and the 90th floor and below are used to imprison great monsters in the Ancestor Realm. Of course, the above rules are not set in stone. For example, Shushan captured a Dongyuan Realm Monster King and imprisoned him in a cave on the 60th floor of the Demon Locking Tower. This Monster King married and had children in it, and reproduced, and finally created a population. Naturally, there are monsters from untransformed to transformed monsters in it. It can only be said that the highest level in the 60th floor is the Dongyuan Realm Monster King. But generally speaking, the lower the floor, the more dangerous the monsters imprisoned. Because of this, the forbidden barrier of the Demon Locking Tower itself becomes more and more strict as you go down. The long-browed immortal stroked his beard and said, but the leakage accidents that occurred in the Demon Locking Tower in the past basically occurred in the middle and lower layers, not the upper layers. The 30th layer is the 4 Simples Formation I, the 50th layer is the 2 Yin Formation I, and the 95th layer, which is the lowest layer, is the Tai Kai Formation I of the Demon Locking Tower. Each formation is the core of the restriction, so it must not be damaged. You need to patrol and inspect it regularly. I will pass on to you the method of manipulating the formation I restriction. This method can only be passed on orally, and cannot be recorded in writing. The long-browed immortal recited a long passage of formulas and asked Ling Yunpo to remember it all. He then took out the 2-yin microdust sword and said, "You can't master the Chinsuming sword now. After I leave the demon locking tower, the 2-yin microdust sword will temporarily remain in the demon locking tower, and you can use it at will. If the locking demon tower leaks out again and cannot be salvaged, you will activate this sword to launch the yin-yang microdust sword formation and make sure to kill the escaped demons." After saying that, the long-eyebrowed immortal threw the yin-yang microdust sword and asked it to hand directly on the sword pillar, meaning "I'll leave it here." Ling Yunpo said goodbye and left the bottom floor of the locking demon tower after listening to the long-eyebrowed immortal's instructions. He flew his sword around the tower and finally stopped at the top of the demon locking tower. He asked Kunlun Mirror in his heart, Mirror, what do you think of the restrictions of the demon locking tower?" "Perfect." Kunlun Mirror praised him without reservation. "You can see that the construction technology of this demon locking tower is far beyond the level that the current Shushan King sect can understand. Although the long-browed immortal has a long life, he is not proficient in formations after all, and can only make use of 1 or 2% of the restrictions of the demon locking tower." "That's right," Ling Yunpo said with emotion. "If I were to maintain the restrictions of the demon locking tower, how could any demons escape? Ridiculous. However, the role of the fragment of the sky-building stone is greater than we originally expected." Kunlun Mirror said seriously, "I think it is precisely because there has been no one in Shushan throughout the ages who is proficient in formations, and no one has ever properly maintained the restrictions of the demon locking tower. With the increasing number of demons in the tower and several major damages in history, the loopholes in the restrictions themselves are also increasing. So the immortal Changmei thought of a permanent solution, which is to embed the fragment of the heaven-fixing stone into the restriction, and fill in the holes wherever there are any." "What a waste of resources," Ling Yunpo said helplessly. "In this way, if I rashly take away the fragment of the heaven-fixing stone, I don't know how many holes that were originally covered up will be exposed. It means that I have to repair the restriction from beginning to end before I can take away the fragment of the heaven-fixing stone. There's nothing I can do about it." Kunlun Mirror comforted him. "Aren't you going to betray Shushan sooner or later? Repairing the restriction of the demon locking tower for Shushan can be regarded as compensation to them." "What you said makes sense," Ling Yunpo said with emotion. "Alas, I have a very high moral bottom line. Otherwise, as the dignified Chin Sword Master, I would not have fallen to a formation repairman." Kunlun Mirror and Suming Sword were speechless, thinking that in addition to repairing the restriction of the demon locking tower and removing the fragment of the heaven-fixing stone from the restriction, what other methods do you have? Arjun is mocking you. Pretending not to hear, right? The moral bottom line is indeed beyond ordinary people. Ling Yunpo returned to King Luo Peak and saw Nzisu drinking in the pavilion behind that Taoist temple. "Sister, why are you drinking alone without calling me?" He quickly entered the pavilion, snatched the wine pot from Nzisu, and poured himself a cup. "Eating alone, right?" Nzisu was already a little depressed. She felt that her junior brother had been very distant from her recently, and she hated her own low level of cultivation. Therefore, she was alone in the Taoist temple drinking to drown her sorrows. She was drunk and didn't even react when her junior brother came to grab the wine pot. "Give it back to me." When she finally came to her senses, she was not willing to give in, and rushed over to grab the wine pot. "This is mine. Give me another sip and I'll give it back to you." Ling Yunpo dodged left and right, and poured wine for himself with his back to Sister Anne. Nzisu couldn't get around to his front, so she simply hugged him from behind, passed her hands under his armpits, and grabbed the mouth of the wine pot hard. "Sister, I caught the wrong person. I caught the wrong person." Ling Yunpo begged for mercy and handed over the wine jug in his hand. Nzisu took the wine jug and let go of the sweaty junior brother, and drank the wine by herself. Her long black hair was spread out behind her head, and her fair and slender neck was raised high. The clear wine slid from the corner of her mouth, along the beautiful collarbone of her neck, and flowed into the bottomless folds of her Taoist robe. Ling Yunpo was swallowing his saliva as he watched from the side. In order to hide his greed for the wine, he could only change the subject and asked, "Sister, why do you look so unhappy? Is there something bothering you?" "I don't have anything bothering me," Nzisu muttered subconsciously, and then stared at Ling Yunpo angrily. "Why am I bothered, don't you know? But no matter what, it is not good to tell the junior brother that the senior sister is worried about her cultivation not being as good as the junior brother. It will make her appear overly sensitive and embarrassing. Therefore, Zisu also skillfully changed the subject and said, "Of course it is because you abandoned me after becoming the Chin Sword Master." "How could I abandon you?" Ling Yunpo's eyes widened. "When was the last time you asked me to practice sword?" Zisu began to count on his fingers. "When was the last time you drank with me?" This, Ling Yunpo immediately couldn't answer. It was not because he hadn't accompanied senior sister in for a long time, but because he had experienced so many things in the middle after the last Shushan save that he really couldn't remember. Seeing Ling Yunpo hesitating, Zisu felt discouraged and simply picked up the wine pot and walked towards his own room. Chapter 961 I am the master. Zisu returned to the wing room, and soon her anger faded away. She became a little sad again. Although she seemed to be angry, she was actually hiding a kind of fear that she couldn't explain. If her strength didn't improve quickly, when her junior brother formed a union and became the peak master, with the added strength of the Chin Sword Master, she was afraid that he would drift further and further away from her. Didn't you see that Lin Yuanzhen, Juanfen Hegai, Yuan Jinu and others had less and less communication as their cultivation realms were pulled apart? She had to form a union quickly. Just as she was thinking about this, she heard Ling Yunpo knocking on the door outside and saying, "Senior sister, I'm coming in." "Yes." Zisu responded. Ling Yunpo pushed the door open. As soon as she entered the room, she saw Zisu kneeling in front of the coffee table, bowing her head and not speaking, with a resentful expression. "Sister, I was wrong this time." Ling Yunpo immediately knelt down, sat upright opposite her, took out a wine pot, and poured a glass of wine. "I am here to apologize to my sister." "Junior brother?" Zisu asked helplessly. "Do you think that my sister is easy to please? As long as you accompany me to drink, everything can be solved, right?" "How can there be such a thing?" Ling Yunpo immediately opened his eyes wide and defended. "I just think that my sister must be a reasonable person. Even if I have done something wrong, as long as I apologize to my sister first, my sister will definitely calm down and patiently point it out to me." Zisu. She originally wanted to continue to be unreasonable and make things difficult for junior brother Ling for a while, but being called senior sister like this, she couldn't get angry again. After a moment of silence, Zisu lowered her head and said, "This time it has nothing to do with you, it's just that I didn't live up to my expectations." "Why is my sister not living up to my expectations?" Ling Yunpo was puzzled. "Junior brother?" Zisu suddenly asked him, "Do you look down on me because you became the Chin Sword Master?" "How is that possible?" Ling Yunpo was about to swear, but he heard Zisu ask again, "Why haven't you come to see me recently?" "It's really because of the busy affairs of the sect." Ling Yunpo said the first half of the sentence, and couldn't say the rest. "This reason is really poor. You know, no matter how busy you are, how long can you take time to find your senior sister to drink and practice sword?" To put it bluntly, it was actually because of the frequent reloading of that game that made his memory a little messy, and in addition, Lin Long successfully graduated, so he was too eager for quick success and was determined to get the booty in stone, so it was inevitable that he neglected his senior sister on Zisu's side. Thinking of this, Ling Yunpo sighed and said sincerely, "It's not that I look down on my senior sister, but I've been entangled in trivial matters recently and have no time to be distracted. I will apologize to my senior sister tonight." After that, he didn't wait for senior sister to say anything, and started to pour wine to punish himself. This is the benefit of communicating with drunkards. No matter how unhappy the two sides are, a few glasses of wine are better than 1,000 words. "Junior brother?" Zisu hugged Ling Yunpo and said vaguely, "Even if you are the Chin Sword Master, you can't ignore me, understand?" Of course. Although Ling Yunpo did not use his true essence to digest the alcohol, he was a spy after all. His willpower and vigilance were much better than Zisu, so he could barely stay sober. Senior sister and junior brother, it's not based on the level of cultivation, it must be based on the order of entry. Once a senior sister for life. Whether I am the Chin Sword Master, or Momo Mingming, the Yining Peak Master, or the Jintan's Hinran, I can't change this fact. These words completely hit Zisu's point, so she happily floated a big white again, clinked glasses with Ling Yunpo and drank. The two drank until late at night, and simply slept on the same bed. Of course, cultivators don't need to sleep, they mainly meditate to enter a state of concentration. The next day, Ling Yunpo woke up from his meditation, and Zisu was no longer by his side. "Did anything happen last night?" "No." Kunlun Mirror replied, "You two just hugged each other and entered into meditation. Later, when your sister woke up in the morning, she found you holding her in her arms, and she blushed and left you and ran away." "What?" Ling Yunpo was shocked. "Just hugged each other and entered into meditation? Why do you sound disappointed?" Kunlun Mirror asked in astonishment. "Well, I mean, it's a good thing I stayed sober and didn't make a big mistake after getting drunk." Ling Yunpo hurriedly explained, "After all, I will betray Shushan sooner or later, and I must not do something irreparable to my sister." "Then why did you and that witch Jiang?" Kunlun Mirror wisely did not expose him directly, but just said, "Let's continue to analyze the restrictions of the demon locking tower." After more than 10 days, Zisu finally successfully passed the tribulation within the scope of Shushan and was successfully promoted to a Union Cultivator, Elder Jing Xiao. According to the rules of Shushan, after the formation of the infant, one can choose to establish a sect and become the master of a mounting, or stay in the original sect. With Zisu's personality, he naturally had no interest in establishing a sect, so he chose to stay in King Luo Peak for the time being. Not long after, Su Jian also came to King Luo Peak and said to Ling Yunpo, "I have decided to pass the King Luo Peak Taoist tradition to Siwa." "That's very good." Ling Yunpo immediately expressed his attitude and echoed, "Master is now the head sect leader, and you're the orthodox sect of MA. It is indeed a bit confusing to be with the King Luo Taoist tradition. This will make it clear." Su Jian nodded and said, "When you went to the nascent soul stage, the Taoist tradition of MA will be inherited by you, and you will follow that position of the next head sect leader of Shushan. There is no rush for this matter." Ling Yunpo smiled. "Master has just become the head sect leader of Shushan, and it has not been 100 years yet, and he is already considering the arrangement of a successor. It's a bit hasty." "It doesn't matter." Su Jian waved his hand and said, "If the Qin Sword Master is not the head sect leader of Shushan, who else can be the head sect leader of Shushan? After you form an infant, I will pass the position of head sect leader to you." "Are you a bit anxious?" Ling Yunpo asked in surprise. "If this gets out, I'm afraid it will be detrimental to Master's reputation. Who dares to gossip behind my back?" Su Jian sneered, "Don't forget, I'm the Shushan sect leader." Ling Yunpo finally understood what he said. It seems that Su Jian was tortured by the daily affairs of the Shushan sect leader and couldn't wait to throw away the burden and leave. "But if I become the Shushan sect leader, it will be completely different from the original plan. You know, as long as the Long Eyebrow Immortal goes to the secret realm of the Great Light Palace, I can enter the demon locking tower openly and take away the fragment of the heaven-fixing stone. But if I become the Shushan sect leader, it is inevitable that the elders will come to ask for instructions on various matters every day. In this way, it is equivalent to being in the public eye. How can I plan to run away with the fragments? No, I can never be the sect leader." Chapter 962 Ling Yun breaks the infant. For ordinary cultivators, becoming the headmaster of a sect is probably harder than ascending to heaven. But for Ling Yunpo, not being the headmaster of Shushan is even more difficult. How could the Qin Sword Master not be the headmaster? Who will be in charge of the sect in the future? The headmaster is in charge. What if the Qin Sword Master disagrees? To put it bluntly, the identity of the Qin Sword Master, coupled with the background of Shushan's respect for swords, means that he is destined to have the final say in Shushan. What about the headmaster of Shushan in the future? If the headmaster's words don't work, it's better not to have a headmaster, and let the Qin Sword Master and the two merge into one, and make things simple. But the problem is that Ling Yunpo doesn't want to be the headmaster of Shushan, and he can't find any reasonable excuse. "Why don't you want to be the headmaster of Shushan?" "Because I will betray the sect sooner or later." "Is this something I can say?" "Because the Qin's human sword doesn't let me be the headmaster." "Has this reason been used before?" "Because I have no intention of becoming the headmaster and only want to practice well." This is barely acceptable, but it certainly won't convince Su Jian. In the end, it's just a tug-of-war and a waste of words. Thinking of this, Ling Yunpo was also very bored, so he simply left King Luo Peak and went out to relax. Stepping on the Qin's human sword and soaring up to the 9th heaven, Ling Yunpo suddenly asked in his heart, "Jin, where is the leak in the sky that needs to be repaired?" "In the southeast direction." Jin replied, "There are 3 pillars of heaven, one in the north, one in the southwest, and one in the southeast. The 3 pillars are separated at the edge of Shenzhou, fixing the land in the celestial sphere. The southeast pillar of heaven later collapsed, causing the land to tilt eastward, and a hole was torn in the celestial sphere. Then let's go to the southeast pillar of heaven to have a look," Ling Yunpo said. He turned the direction of the sword light and quickly left the Shenzhou continent and entered the East China Sea. The farther away from Shenzhou, the stronger the sea monsters that appeared. But now Ling Yunpo has reached the nascent soul stage, so he is not worried about the attacks of these monsters. He killed them and left. After an unknown amount of time, a shadow suddenly appeared on the sea level in the distance. Ling Yunpo looked around and saw what seemed to be a giant bird, standing alone on the sea. Is that a golden-winged roc? There are such monsters in the world of cultivation. Sensing his presence, the roc turned around and asked, "Human cultivator, what are you doing here?" Seeing that the other party had no ill intentions, Ling Yunpo did not dare to let down his guard. He just slowly approached and loudly stated his intentions, "I'm just passing by." "Oh." The roc responded and stopped talking. Ling Yunpo continued to approach, and seeing that the roc still had no reaction, he suddenly remembered something in his mind. When he was Qiu Chang's time before, he seemed to have encountered a giant kun when he traveled in the East China Sea with Zhu Yinyan. The other party lacked the method of turning into a roc at the time, so Senior Feng Lan, who lived in Zhu Yinyan's Sea of Consciousness, asked his junior sister to use the method of turning into a roc to exchange it for the hardest scale on the kun. Could it be that the golden-winged roc in front of him was the silly giant kun back then? No doubt, it is it. Kunlun Mirror suddenly said, "I scanned it, and it is undoubtedly the giant kun back then." It turned out to be a reunion of old friends. Ling Yunpo was slightly relieved and continued to ask carefully, "Senior, what are you doing?" "Looking at the sky." The golden-winged roc replied. "What's so good about the sky?" Ling Yunpo also looked at the sky. Probably because of Qiu Chang's help, the golden-winged bird seemed to have no aversion to the human race. It raised its wings and pointed to the sky, saying, "Look at the sky over there, isn't the color different from other places?" Ling Yunpo looked up, only to hear Kunlun Mirror say, "That's where Nui originally repaired the sky. Of course the color is different from other places." "Indeed." Ling Yunpo nodded, "So what?" "I suspect that the Eastern Empire realm is behind that place." The golden-winged bird vowed, "As long as we knock that place open, we can reach the Eastern Empire realm." Ling Yunpo. "Senior, do you have any basis for saying that?" he asked in confusion. "There is no basis for this." The golden-winged bird replied, "This is my intuition. Do you know that our feather clan moved to the Eastern Empire realm more than 100,000 years ago, including the ancestors of our golden-winged bird? I have sensed that my ancestors are behind the sky. As long as I can break through that barrier, I can reunite with my clan again. No, there are only chaotic galaxies, burning stars, and all kinds of demons from outer space outside. The ancestors of your demon clan are actually on the other side of the continent under your feet." Ling Yunpo was thinking this when he saw the golden-winged bird suddenly spread its wings and rise up, raising an endless hurricane, flapping its wings and soaring into the sky. "A jing?" he asked hurriedly. "It can't be broken." Kunlun Jin quickly replied, "With the power of the sky-repairing stone, it is impossible to be destroyed by this purely physical impact." Sure enough, not long after, the golden-winged bird landed again, with blood all over its head. "It still doesn't work." The pen sighed and said, "My practice is still not enough, but I won't give up. This stupid bird is completely hopeless." Ling Yunpo shook his head and turned the sword light to the direction of Shenzhou. "Don't worry about this golden-winged pen now. When I gather all the fragments of the sky-repairing stone and can repair the sky, if this pen is still here, I will deal with it then." After a while, Ling Yunpo returned to Shushan and heard the news of the 7 treasures Chuan Yuan secret realm. At the bottom of the locking demon tower, Su Jian said with a serious expression, "The 7 treasures Chuan Yuan secret realm opened too quickly. It is obvious that Kunlun took advantage of the time when Changzhen had already formed a baby and King Hin had not yet passed the tribulation, and used the threshold of the nascent soul realm to check and suppress our Shushan. No, it's just that the sky dome rotation point happened to move to the position of the extreme northern sky pillar at this time. If King Feng can't go to the secret realm, then we can only let other peak masters go." The long-browed immortal began to count the names with Su Jian. This peak master elder was okay, but that one was not. That one probably couldn't even beat Jing Xiao's Hinran. Ling Yunpo listened for a long time, and suddenly a blessing came to his mind, and he said, "Master, Immortal, Kim Feng was traveling overseas recently, and suddenly he felt something in his heart. He successfully reached the great perfection of the golden core realm and has passed the tribulation and formed a nascent soul." As soon as the voice fell, Su Jian and the long-browed immortal seemed to be stunned at the same time. Then, the long-browed immortal finally showed an ecstatic look and laughed. Su Jian quickly approached, put his hand on Ling Yunpo's wrist, and quickly probed into it with his true energy. Good. Su Jian was overjoyed to find that Ling Yunpo had reached the nascent soul stage, and said to the long-browed immortal, since King Hin has already formed a nascent soul, it's just right for us to go to Kaibao Chuan Yuan this time. Kunlun's sneaky plot will surely fail. A transition chapter. I'll see if I can add more later to make up for the previous leave. Chapter 963. Beware of the rat. The 7 Treasures Mysterious Garden Secret Realm is limited to Union Realm cultivators. They compete for the positions of the 12 7 Treasures Mysterious Garden Masters and will get clues to the next Great Bright Palace Secret Realm. Of course, the 12 Masters themselves are of little value. What is really valuable is the clues to the Great Bright Palace Secret Realm. The sect Immortals will naturally pay for this. The long eyebrow immortal is going to the Great Bright Palace, so Shushan also attaches great importance to this matter. In addition, Kunlun invited him, and many peak masters and elders took the initiative to volunteer to go to the extreme north sky pillar to compete with Kunlun. According to the old rules of the Golden Secret Realm, Su Jian planned to select 12 peak masters and elders from the registered peak masters to attend the meeting. As a result, Ling Yunpo suddenly said, "How many people does Kunlun plan to send into the secret realm this time?" "I don't know." Su Jian replied, "But I think it must be more than us." Because the clues were provided and shared by Kunlun would definitely ask for more places, just like the last time in that Golden Secret Realm. But Kunlun didn't say how many people they planned to send, right? Ling Yunpo said with a smile, "If Kunlun arranges a large number of people to went to the 7 Treasures Mysterious Garden Secret Realm, but we only send 12 people, how can that work?" "Kim Fen, have you forgotten?" A peak master elder said, "In the 7 Treasures Mysterious Garden Secret Realm, no matter how many cultivators enter, only 12 people can get clues to the Great Light Palace Secret Realm in the end. In other words, the more cultivators enter, the more difficult the test will be. Who knows how many people will be eliminated by then?" "That's true." Ling Yunpo nodded and said, "But don't forget, Kunlun has Changzheng." As soon as he finished speaking, many Shushan elders looked solemn, as if they all thought of a possibility. Kunlun Changzhen, a natural talent, a clear mind, a first-grade immortal infant, has a combat power far beyond his peers. Even Shushan, which has always been dissatisfied with Kunlun, cannot deny this. Since Changzhen was almost certain to be among the 12, Kunlun was confident that he could get clues about the Great Light Hall, and the difficulty of the trial would not affect Kunlun. Similarly, Shushan had the Chin Sword Master, so no matter how difficult the trial was, could he still be eliminated? Thinking of this, everyone said to Su Jian, "Since the Chin Sword Master is a guarantee, why not let everyone who wants to go?" Su Jian was also a straightforward person who hated nagging, so he simply waved his hand and left only some of the peak masters to guard Shushan, and the rest followed to the extreme north pillar. After traveling thousands of miles with swords, they finally arrived at the extreme north pillar, and saw how many Kunlun monks had gathered here, densely packed, surrounding the pillar, just as Ling Yunpo said. Oh my! The Shushan elders were furious. If it weren't for the Chin Sword Master's reminder, we would have been fooled. "You, Kunlun, brought so many people here. Could it be that you really wanted to let Elder Changzhen guarantee the number of people, and the rest of you frantically increased the difficulty of the trial, in order to eliminate as many of our Shushan monks as possible?" For a moment, the crowd was in an uproar, and they urged the headmaster Su Jian to go over as soon as possible to ask the Ziwei headmaster for an explanation. Su Jian was also very unhappy with Kunlun's behavior. When he saw the Ziwei headmaster, he asked him in person, "How many people does Kunlun plan to send into the secret realm this time?" The Ziwei headmaster was such a person that he knew that Shushan had misunderstood him as soon as he heard it, and explained lightly, "I was just about to discuss this with you. No matter how many people each side sends, it must be decided in advance. The implication was that we, Kunlun, have not yet decided on the number of people, so don't be anxious." Here. Su Jian believed that Kunlun was deliberately making things mysterious, so he said coldly, "The 3 pure ones of the Orthodox sect are of the same blood. Kunlun has Elder Changzhen, and we also have the Chin Sword Master. When the time comes, both sides will enter the secret realm together and compete with each other based on their abilities." The head of Ziwei's sect was also a little annoyed. Kunlun brought so many elders here mainly to guard against the sudden attack of the demon sect. After all, the last time in that Golden Palace secret realm, the demon sect came in a large number of people and fought with the Orthodox sect. This time, they must be on guard. But looking at Shushan's appearance, they probably thought that Kunlun was going to use the human wave tactic. This is not easy to explain. Because if you explain it seriously and let Shushan know that it is a misunderstanding, it will appear that you were afraid of conflict with Shushan, and the result is that Shushan will look down on you. Shushan's brain circuit is indeed like this. So he nodded and said, "Wait for Penglai to come." After talking with Su Jian, the head of Ziwei sect sent someone to inform Qiu Chang's time not to go out recently, so as not to conflict with Shushan. After all, Shushan has always wanted the Qin Sword Master to overshadow Elder Changzhen, and this matter is almost known to everyone. If the two of them fight, regardless of who wins or loses, it will still be disadvantageous to the orthodox religion. After a while, the people from Penglai finally arrived. Compared with the full force of Kunlun and Shushan, the lineup sent by Penglai King Temple is as streamlined as ever. It is obvious that they have recruited young men again. Those who can become Yuning elders in Penglai are basically non-competitive and focused on academics. After all, the combat effectiveness of Penglai monks is here, and those who are warlike will basically not live that long. The three pure ones of the orthodox religion gathered here, and the next step is to hold a meeting to discuss how to allocate the quota for the secret realm. As we all know, the more people enter the secret realm, the more difficult the trial will be, and the more unpredictable the result will be. Those who can participate in the secret trial are basically strong players, but who can guarantee that they will definitely win if they're strong. As the top leaders of the sect, everyone instinctively hates those uncontrollable factors, so they quickly reached a consensus to strictly control the number of people entering the secret trial. Not long after, Wei Dongli arrived as scheduled on the original timeline, bringing a large number of monks from neutral sects. Seeing that Wei Dongli did not play according to the routine, the three pure ones of the orthodox sect were also in a mess. The attitude of Su Jian, the head of Shushan, was very clear. Fight. Everyone united to destroy the monks of the demon sect, and these monks of neutral sect would naturally retreat. The head of Xuandu in Penglai immediately expressed his objection. What if the monks of neutral sects were accidentally injured? Shushan dared to fight the world, but Penglai could not be the enemy of the world, otherwise who would sell things to? The two sides quarreled endlessly, and Kunlun watched from the sidelines. Su Jian was so angry that he scolded Penglai after returning, and even said that the boy is not worth discussing with. "Master, don't worry." Ling Yunpo asked, "What is Kunlun's attitude?" "It's just that they're afraid of using the right weapon to kill the rat." Su Jian sneered unceremoniously. On the one hand, they want to kill the rat, and on the other hand, they are afraid of using the right weapon, so Kunlun said all the good and bad things. No wonder Su Jian was angry about it. "It doesn't matter." Ling Yunpo said with a smile, "In my opinion, Kunlun can't drag it on like this, and there will be a result within 3 to 5 days. Yeah. Su Jian also nodded and said, "Is Wei Donliu an ordinary person? I guess he must have a backup plan, which is nothing more than fighting against the enemy and covering the water with earth." There is another chapter, chapter 964, adding some difficulty to you. Soon, as happened in history, Qiu Changzhen made a famous judgment that the demon cult could not control the neutral monks, and they would definitely rush into the secret realm. So Shushan also relaxed the restrictions and told the peak masters and elders that anyone who wanted to enter the secret realm could enter, without having to worry about the difficulty of the trial. Zisu and Ling Yunpo were originally in the team entering the secret realm. Seeing that the Kunlun team had already set off, Qiu Changzhen and Zhu Yingyan rushed to the front. The two of them directly used the unity of man and sword and rushed towards the golden light in the sky. As the sky spun and the earth spun, the two of them had already appeared in mid-air. Below was the majestic sea of clouds, boundless. Above was the fragile sky, which was now riddled with holes, with stars breaking through the sky and falling straight down, and the water of the Milky Way pouring back endlessly, as tragic as the end of the world. Zisu was so shocked by this scene that he was speechless for a while, but Ling Yunpo had expected it, so he just held his sister's hand tightly and kept scanning the surroundings with his spiritual sense. Suddenly, an old man appeared in front of him. Just as he was about to speak, his eyes fell on Ling Yunpo's back and he frowned and asked, "Master Qin Sword?" "Hello, senior." Ling Yunpo immediately saluted. "Since you are the Master Qin Sword, the test of the secret realm of Kaibaho Chuan Yuan this time must be changed." The old man thought for a moment and said, "With the help of Qin's human sword, this ordinary natural disaster can't kill you. How about this? All cultivators who are within 10,000 feet of you can receive the secret realm message. If they can kill you, the Master Qin sword, they can directly obtain the position of the Master of Kaiba Chuan Yuan. Well, this is very good, let's do it. How can it be like this? Zisu was shocked and angry, and Ling Yunpo was also shocked. He hurriedly said, "This is unfair. Everyone is here to participate in the trial, how can you treat them differently?" "Hehe, young man, you don't know." The old man said leisurely, "Our Kaiba Chuan Yuan secret realm is not testing anything else, but good fortune and luck. Unfortunately, I had some grudges with someone in the past, and that enemy was the owner of the Qin's human sword, so I am not happy with you and want to increase the difficulty for you. You can blame it on your bad luck." Ling Yunpo and Zisu were speechless, only to hear the old man say, "Of course, if you can survive the sieges around you and become one of the last 12 people alive, you can take the Master of the 7 Treasures Chuan Yuan. How about it? I still left you a way out, ha 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 ha." The old man laughed and disappeared, and Zisu was silent for a moment, and his face suddenly changed. Ling Yunpo immediately knew that this was Zisu receiving a message from the secret realm, and hurriedly asked, "Senior sister, what did the message say?" "It said your specific location." Zisu said quickly, "It also said that as long as you were killed out, you can automatically get the position of the Master of the 7 Treasures Chuan Yuan." Ling Yunpo's face changed suddenly, and his spiritual sense quickly swept around. "No one is around." Zisu continued, "We are lucky enough not to encounter any hostile monks. I am afraid that may not be the case." Ling Yunpo frowned and said, "I have the title of Qin Sword Master, so the enemy will certainly not underestimate me. If they get within 10,000 feet of me and receive the message from the secret realm, will they rush over to fight me in a one-on-one duel? They will definitely call their friends to surround me, so that they can have a better chance. What should we do then?" Zisu also became nervous. Even though she was born with a sword heart and was not afraid of danger, she also knew that 2 fists could not beat 4 hands. The 2 of them might be able to deal with 4, 8, or even more than 10 people, but what if there were 30 or 40 enemies? Even if they fired a round of flying swords, unless there was a 360-degree defense magic weapon, they would be stacked to death by flying swords. "Let's go first." Ling Yunpo said quickly, "The most urgent thing is to find out the time interval of the secret realm message." The 2 of them flew forward quickly. With Ling Yunpo's guidance, Zisu quickly calculated that the secret realm transmission was 3 times per stick of incense, about once every 5 minutes. In just 5 minutes, even if the 2 of them used their full strength to control their swords, they could not fly a distance of 10,000 feet. In other words, Zisu said quickly, "If someone is within the communication range of the secret realm, from the time we receive the message to the next communication, even if we stand still, we can't escape from the communication range." "Senior sister, that's not how it's calculated." Ling Yunpo comforted her, "We should calculate the difference in speed between us and the other party, and see how long it will take to pull the distance to more than 10,000 feet. The 7 killing sword technique is based on speed, and the speed should be far superior to other schools of sword controlling techniques." Zisu continued, "But this speed is limited. If the other party is chasing closely behind, it will take a long time to pull the distance to more than 10,000 feet. And if you just run away, it will become a competition of true energy consumption." Ling Yunpo also said worriedly, "I'm afraid that the old man has some tricks up his sleeve, so we can't just run away, we have to kill." Speaking of killing, Zisu immediately stopped panicking, her eyebrows raised, murderous aura overflowing, and she asked with a glare, "How to kill?" "Senior sister, follow me." Ling Yunpo nodded and said. He led Zisu down the clouds quickly and entered the range of the storm. Under the clouds, the rain was pouring down, and the water spirit was everywhere, which greatly hindered both vision and consciousness. However, the scanning of the Kunlun mirror was completely unimpeded, so Ling Yunpo just took Zisu to fly slowly diagonally downward, while scanning and confirming the surrounding situation. "The message has been sent," Zisu suddenly said. "Let's go." Ling Yunpo immediately turned around, and with Zisu, he directly merged with the sword and rushed to the back. About 3 or 4 minutes later, near the clouds, they really met a dozen monks, neither the Orthodox sect nor the demon sect, but unique loose cultivators from neutral sects. When they saw him, many of them showed panic. Ling Yunpo immediately knew that these people were coming together to kill him, and quickly communicated with Zisu. "I'll be on the left and you'll be on the right, let's end the battle as soon as possible." After that, the 2 of them went their separate ways and killed the dozen monks. Senior sister Am's swordsmanship was still exquisite and sophisticated. With the help of the super-fast speed of the unity of man and sword, she first made a big detour to escape from the opponent's field of vision, and then rushed in from the back, killing 2 or 3 enemies in an instant. Those unique casual cultivators wanted to snipe Anzisu, but found that the opponent's speed was so amazing that they couldn't lock Anzisu's figure for a while, and they were in chaos. Some began to perform large-scale Taoist magic, and some tried to keep their distance, without any coordination. Ling Yunpo's fighting style was even more brutal. Relying on his abundant and powerful true energy and the high rank of Qin's human sword, he didn't care about any Taoist magic or magic weapon, and just rushed in and killed them. After a chaotic killing, none of the dozen unique cultivators escaped. They were all chopped into white light by the 2 and eliminated. Chapter 965. Senior Sisterin is the first to be eliminated. After killing these unique monks, Ling Yunpo quickly scanned the surroundings and found that several monks were hiding in the clouds in the distance, and seemed to be fleeing in a panic. He hesitated for a moment and knew that there was no need to chase them. Since the secret realm would send a message to inform him of the location of the Qin sword master every once in a while, there would be no hidden danger of leaking the news if he just let a few monks go. However, these monks could go out and spread the terrifying things about the Qin sword master, and deter those who wanted to besiege and kill him, so letting them go would probably be beneficial and harmless. Let's go. Ling Yunpo said quickly when he returned to Senior Sisterin. Where to? Anzisu asked. Under the sea. Ling Yunpo replied. The 2 pressed the sword light downwards and soon dived into the sea. The deeper they dived into the sea, the more difficult it was to resist the turbulence around them, so the Senior Sisterin soon found it difficult to stabilize her body and began to stagger. Sister, hold on for a while. Ling Yunpo persuaded her. The visibility and vision on the seabed are extremely poor, and there are undercurrents, so it is the best place to hide. Junior brother, don't forget that the secret realm will report your location every once in a while. Anzisu disagreed. Even if the seabed can block the light, it can't completely avoid being chased. Besides, this undercurrent will not only restrict the other party's actions, but also restrict us. It's better to stay above the sea surface and kill as many as they come. Ling Yunpo was overwhelmed by hearing this. He knew that the senior sister was impatient to hide and felt that the killing on the seabed was not satisfying enough, so she raised an objection. Waiting on the sea surface, it's not impossible. Anyway, if the situation is not right, just dive to the bottom of the sea. The 2 stayed above the sea surface, waiting for the pursuers to come. However, for some reason, no cultivators came to attack after waiting for a long time. Anzisu was bored waiting, but Ling Yunpo noticed something was wrong and quickly asked the Kunlun mirror to enlarge the scanning area. As a result, after a quick scan, it was discovered that hundreds of monks were hiding in the clouds above. I don't know what they were planning. Seeing the number of opponents, Ling Yunpo also felt a headache. It's not that he can't beat them, but once he kills so many monks of the same level, how can he hide his strength? When the news spread to Shushan, everyone saw that Qin sword master was really awesome. Nearly 100 Yuning monks couldn't beat him, so it would be easy to deal with Kunlun Chang'an. It was like shooting himself in the foot. Ling Yunpo had concerns, but the monks in the clouds didn't have so many concerns. Anyway, they wouldn't really die if they died in this secret realm. Soon, a dozen or so reckless people came directly to kill the 2 people below. Come on. Before Ling Yunpo said to take shelter for a while, Anzisu's eyes lit up and immediately flew to meet him. She counterattacked directly, which scared the dozen monks. Facing a force 10 times their own, they dared to charge forward directly. This Shushan monk was too reckless. The next second, they knew why the other party was so reckless. When they were close to the opponent's 100 feet, the monks all performed Taoism and released magic weapons, and various colors of light covered the sky and killed Anzisu. Anzisu was not afraid at all, but quickly merged with the sword, and the sword light surged. The sword light passed through the gaps between countless lights calmly, and then swept through the crowd at an astonishing speed. The chests of 3 or 4 Yuning monks immediately exploded, and then turned into white light and left. The monk team was in chaos, and many people threw various spells out, trying to lock Anzisu's figure. Ling Yunpo was watching from below, and he was also amazed. Although the enemy army was large in number, Sister Ram's natural sword heart had already seen through the opponent's biggest weakness: lack of cooperation. Most of these nascent soul cultivators came from small sects and usually fought alone. They rarely had the experience of cooperating with their companions. Once Senior Sisterin rushed into the formation and completely disrupted the situation, this disadvantage of lack of coordination would be further magnified. Most people fought on their own, let alone cooperate, and often they couldn't even control the accidental injury to their teammates. This situation further split the trust between each other, so that Nzisu was still killing people, and the other cultivators not only had to deal with this killing god, but also had to guard against being accidentally injured by their companions' attacks, which was completely tied up. It seems that you don't even need to go out. Kunlun Mira said with emotion, your senior sister solved them all by herself. No. Ling Yunpo said. Why? Kunlun Mira asked curiously. Because there is a situation where you don't need to cooperate with each other. Ling Yunpo said. Kunlun Mira quickly scanned over and saw that the first batch of nascent soul cultivators who swooped down had been almost killed by Nzisu. The monks behind, having learned the lesson from the failure of the first wave of attacks, did not rush over to fight with Nzisu, but instead used various long-range Taoist methods, magic weapons, and flying swords to smash down from a long distance. Nearly 100 Yuning monks attacked at the same time, and the scale of the attack was astonishingly huge. Countless lights even tore through the rain curtain of heavy rain and shot towards Nzisu. Facing this overwhelming attack, even though Nzisu was full of murderous aura, he did not dare to fight head-on. He had to quickly turn the sword light around and rush into the sea with Ling Yunpo. Hey! Ling Yunpo sneered in his heart. Fighting back and forth, don't you still have to escape? The two of them escaped into the layers of seawater, and above them, countless lights hit the seawater. The invisible, huge shockwave spread out, and with the undercurrent that was hard to defend against on the seabed, the two were quickly swept into it, and for a while they couldn't even control their bodies. Suddenly, the surrounding water temperature began to rise sharply. Ling Yunpo looked down and saw the half-extinguished, dim, but extremely hot star lying quietly and dangerously on the seabed. Nzisu had been swept by the undercurrent to the embers of the star, and in an instant, he turned into white light in the rapidly heating boiling water, not even lasting for more than a breath. A Jin, teleport! Ling Yunpo shouted in panic. As the world spun, he distanced himself from the star again and returned to the seawater where the temperature was safer. After such a sudden attack, Ling Yunpo was also shocked and knew that the murderous intent on the seabed was no less than that on the sea surface. On the sea surface, he was just being chased by someone, but if the seabed was swept into the high-temperature range of the star by the undercurrent, he would turn into white light in a minute. Oh, I have a Jin's teleportation, so it's okay. He scanned the sky again and found that the monks did not dive into the sea with him, obviously because they were also worried about the undercurrent and the existence of the burning star. If you don't dare to calm down, then I will go up. I'm not in a good mood today, so I only updated once. I've been having a serious writer's block lately, mainly because I want to write about the plot after getting the heaven repairing stone, but the outline says that I can't skip to the 7 treasures mysterious garden secret realm, so I'm caught in a conflict between my creative inspiration and the writing outline. Chapter 966. Everyone works together to besiege the Qin Sword Master. The position of the Master of the 7 Treasures Mysterious Garden is related to the news of the Great Blight Hall, and the Great Blight Hall contains the secret of ascending to the immortal world. This is not a secret in the world of cultivation. For the 3 pure ones of the Orthodox sect and the 6 parts of the Demon sect, as long as one person in the sect can get the position, they can guarantee to get the corresponding first-hand information. But for other third-party sects, it is obvious that the 3 pure ones and the 6 parts will never share the information with them. What if they go to the Great Blight Hall and have to compete for it? Of course, the fewer competitors, the better. Therefore, whether it is entrusted by the elders of the scattered immortals or because their own nascent soul realm is about to be perfected, almost half of the nascent soul cultivators in the world of cultivation have gathered in the secret realm to compete for the only 12 places. Although no one has much confidence in competing with such a big sect as the 3 pure ones and the 6 paths, what if? Soon, what if fell on some cultivators, they suddenly received a message from the secret realm, saying that as long as they can kill the Qin Sword Master, they can directly get a place as the Master of the 7 Treasures Mysterious Garden. At the same time, the location of the Qin Sword Master would be attached every once in a while. Most of the cultivators were skeptical about this message. However, considering the rules of the Kaibaho Chuan Yuan secret realm, one must be one of the 12 people who survived, so even if this message was false, killing the Qin Sword Master would not be a loss. So when everyone met each other, they shouted, "Don't fight first. If you want to fight, go to the Qin Sword Master," and soon a dozen people reached a ceasefire consensus. Among these 10 cultivators, not to mention their cultivation strength, they are all smart in terms of wisdom, otherwise how could they be promoted to the nascent soul realm in a small sect? Everyone soon realized that although there were many people here, only one person could kill the Chin Sword Master and grab the ultimate huge benefits, and the rest could only be wedding clothes for nothing. The Chin Sword Master must be very strong, and the one who shows up first will most likely be killed by the opponent. Therefore, maybe everyone is just waiting and watching, and no one is willing to take the initiative. They all wait for the opponent to attack and then secretly finish the job. Therefore, Fairy Wanzhen from Booming Island soon proposed that everyone should go together, and whoever can grab the first one will rely on their own ability. However, someone else questioned, what if someone doesn't go up and waits in the back to sneak attack and finish the job? Fairy Wanzhen said plausibly that if someone hides in the back and doesn't go up, then he has ulterior motives. Who knows if he intends to kill the Chin Sword Master, or cooperate with the Chin Sword Master to attack from both sides and hit his teammates. Don't forget, even if you can't get the chance to kill the Chin Sword Master, it's good if you can get rid of the opponent as much as possible. As soon as this was said, the crowd immediately divided into two factions. Most of the supporters are good at sword control, so they are not afraid of direct confrontation at all, and of course they agree with both hands. The opponents were basically poor at swordsmanship and were more accustomed to using magic and magic weapons. They usually fought with others at a distance and attacked randomly. Now they were forced to charge head-on. How could that work? Because the team lacked well-known and powerful monks who could calm the team, the two sides soon quarreled and refused to give up. Then, Ling Yunpo and Zisu came to kill. Chin Sword Master led his men to charge, and the reactions of the people were different. Most of them subconsciously fought back, and only a few people fled in embarrassment without hesitation. Soon, those who fought back turned into white light and left. Fairy Wanzhen mixed in the fleeing team. Seeing that Chin Sword Master in the distance did not catch up, she breathed a sigh of relief. Although she was respected as a fairy, it was because her mother was a famous scattered immortal in the East China Sea. She herself was just an ordinary Immortal cultivator, so she did not dare to face Chin Sword Master head-on. Finally, she escaped with her life. After the Chin Sword Master and his sister left, everyone stopped their charge in the clouds. After looking at each other for a moment, they found that only 2 or 3 people were left. Without saying much, the team would definitely not be able to gather, so everyone chose their own direction and quietly dispersed. Fairy Wanzhen flew away on her sword, and the more she thought about it, the more she felt uncomfortable. The Chin Sword Master was too strong to be in the Nascent Soul Realm. How could anyone kill him and take the position of the Lord of the Seven Treasures Chuan Yuan? This secret realm message was simply a trick to trick us into giving up our lives. Wait, since 10 cultivators are not enough, what about 100 Nascent Soul cultivators? What about 200? What about 500? If 500 Nascent Soul cultivators couldn't kill the Chin Sword Master, then Shushan would have praised him to the sky long ago, and how could they allow Kunlun to spread the reputation of Elder Changzheng? Thinking of this, the Sea of Consciousness suddenly received another secret realm message, giving the new position of the Chin Sword Master. Fairy Wanzhen thought about it, and immediately turned the sword light around, quietly using the cover of the clouds to move back to the new position. The new position showed that the target was approximately at sea level, but when Fairy Wanzhen approached the target, she saw a large group of people hiding in the clouds directly above the target position, and no one dared to leave the cover of the clouds. Don't do it yet. Seeing the sword light of Fairy Wanzhen come in, a cultivator immediately flew up to meet him, shouting, "If you want to kill the Chin Sword Master first." This slogan was so familiar that Fairy Wanzhen's eyes widened, and she saw that the cultivator who approached was one of the 2 or 3 people who had escaped before. When they met again, they both looked a little embarrassed, but Fairy Wanzhen was a community cow, and soon acted as if nothing had happened, and asked the other party to take her into the team. As soon as she joined the team, Fairy Wanzhen heard someone shouting, "Information about the Chin Sword Master." Whose information about the Chin Sword Master? What kind of flying sword does he use? What kind of Taoist magic he is good at? How he usually attacks? Tell us if you know. Fairy Wanzhen recognized the person who was speaking as a famous Yuning cultivator outside the Great Wall, named Tuba Hong. He was originally a herdsman. He accidentally got a fragment of a martial arts manual, and without the guidance of his master, he cultivated to his current level of cultivation. Although he has no Taoist name, he is nicknamed Shumashian because it is said that once he encounters danger, he will run faster than a horse on the grassland. Shumashian, aren't you talking nonsense? Someone in the crowd sneered, "Chin Sword Master, what other sword could he use if not Chin Sumen sword? If the Chin Sumen sword was really used, you and I would have died long ago, okay? Twilbohome blushed and retorted, when Chin Sword Master used Chin Suming Sword, even Mount Imai was split into 4 pieces. Do you think your head is harder than Mount Imai? No one dared to respond. Everyone realized the horror of Chin Sword Master, so everyone's face was very ugly. Seeing that the morale was low, Fairy Wanzhen was afraid that the team would be dispersed directly, so she quickly said, Chin Suming Sword is a magic sword. How can a mere nascent soul cultivator use it casually? I agree with the opinion of fellow Shumasha-an. This Chin Sword Master must have used an ordinary flying sword, but how to deal with it specifically requires everyone to think carefully. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Mundo Fanfic Novelers, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelers. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 967. The Sly Cunning Ling Yunpo. Everyone started to discuss it. The Chin Sword Master was originally called King Fen in Shushan, and it was said that he had a very low status. Later, he suddenly became the Chin Sword Master, and he refused to be bullied by those people. He chopped off the golden summit of Imai Mountain with a sword. As a result, everyone in Shushan was trembling with fear and flattering him. Stories like this of a small person suddenly ascending to heaven and then trampling on the high-level masters are undoubtedly very popular among casual cultivators. However, everyone can describe dozens of versions of how Master King Fen was humiliated and how he trampled on the high-level masters, but everyone is at a loss as to what sword skills and Taoist methods Master King Fen used. After arguing for a long time without reaching a conclusion, a dozen or so hot-tempered people finally decided not to continue to speculate with them blindly, and took the initiative to propose to test the strength of the Chin Sword Master below. These reckless men were willing to die on their own initiative. Those who knew about it, such as Fairy Wanzhen, were naturally happy to see it happen. Those who didn't know, such as Shumashiam, thought that blind guessing was indeed not as good as testing, and they just hoped that the Chin Sword Master would not be too weak and be killed by this group of reckless men in the first round. So these 10 or so monks took the lead in rushing out of the clouds and killing below. Zisu quickly flew into the enemy formation with his sword. After just one fight, the monks on the cloud knew that it was not good. The companion of the Chin Sword Master was too powerful, and it was almost difficult to capture his figure when the man and the sword were combined, let alone to deal with it. The solution that everyone could subconsciously think of was nothing more than using magic weapons or Taoist methods for large-scale attacks to cover and compress the opponent's range of action. But there was not one person below, but more than 10 people. If a large-scale attack was carried out, whether Zisu could be hit or not, the team would definitely hurt each other. This kind of harm will undoubtedly damage the trust that everyone has. Who knows if your attack hit me because you accidentally hurt me or if you intentionally want to drive me out and take the chance to kill Chin Sword Master. Although everyone on the cloud has thought it through, the team under the cloud has no time to think about it when facing Zisu's killing pressure. Many people subconsciously use large-scale Taoist magic or magic weapons to randomly attack and release them around them, fearing that they will be killed by Zisu in close combat. This random release, not surprisingly, affected teammates, so curses came one after another. Don't you have eyes? How did you hit? Retract the range of the Taoist magic. You are taking the opportunity to attack me. Those who can rush down in the first wave are naturally monks with relatively rough and straightforward personalities. Some people have old grudges with each other. At this time, how can they believe that the other party is just an unintentional mistake? Simply ignore it and turn the gun to hit Zisu and the enemy together. The scene soon became more chaotic. Some people tried to organize the order, but Zisu first caught these people and killed them. Before long, the situation was completely irreversible. They were divided and broken by Zisu, and they were killed plainly. Zisu shouted that it was refreshing. You know, usually in the Shushan sect, you have to stay to fight with others. As for outside the sect, if you kill 3 or 4 people, the remaining people will know that they are not your opponents, so they will naturally run away directly. How can they be willing to fight with you to the end? Or is it this kind of secret realm where you will not be killed if you lose the battle, which can make people kill with satisfaction? She cast her unsatisfied eyes into the sky, hoping that more monks can come down to die. Although it is difficult to see the monks above the clouds, but when the spiritual sense scanned that Zisu did not leave, he was immediately furious. Do you think we are made of mud? Without saying a word, everyone took advantage of the cover of the thick clouds and splashed all kinds of attack methods, smashing them down on the heads and faces below. Nearly 100 people attacked together, and even Nzisu did not dare to resist, so he had to dive into the deep sea with Ling Yunpo. As soon as the two retreated, everyone immediately cheered up. It turns out that the Qin Sword Master cannot fight against 100 alone. What intelligence are we still discussing? Chase. The monks rushed out of the clouds together, and soon passed through the pouring rain curtain and rushed into the deep sea. After searching in the deep sea for a while, they did not find that trace of the two. It turned out that the two had been directly swept to the bottom of the sea by the undercurrent. Senior Sisterin was burned on the spot by the high temperature, and Ling Yunpo escaped with his abnormal reaction ability. After teleporting away from the high temperature range of the star, Ling Yunpo was first frightened, and then he was angry. Qiu Changtai and Zhu Yingyan had been wandering around the seabed for a long time, but they did not encounter such a dangerous undercurrent. Senior Sisterin and I just dived into the deep sea, and threw it at the star when we met, right? Or this kind of half-extinguished star with almost no light. It must be intentional. With this in mind, Ling Yunpo decided to take revenge. He is an unyielding person, and he will always take revenge. Since the old man hates Qin Sword Master and deliberately led so many people to kill me, I will kill all of them and let your plan fail first. He used the seawater as a cover to quickly rise to a higher altitude, and through the dark and deep water where it was difficult to see, he logged onto the nearest monks through his scanning ability. Qin's human sword shot out silently and killed all of them without even sending out a signal. Although there was no time to call the police, it was pitch dark in the deep sea, and everyone was using their spiritual sense to scan around. The disappearance of these people was soon discovered by everyone. There are enemies in that direction. There was no need to remind the command, and everyone spontaneously fired their attacks in that direction. The resistance in the water is much greater than in the air. Except for the water-based Taoist magic, the speed of most spells and magic weapons was slowed down a lot. Therefore, Ling Yunpo calmly changed his position, and with the help of the wider scanning ability, he always hid outside the detection range of everyone's spiritual sense. The Qin's human sword was quietly handed out again, and 4 monks were killed again. Now everyone realized that something was wrong. If the Qin Sword Master's first attack was a coincidence, then the second one could not be a coincidence. He could accurately capture our position in this deep sea, outside the detection range of our spiritual sense. So everyone gave up resistance at the same time and used magic to float up with all their strength. Ling Yunpo chased and killed them below, leaving more than 30 lives behind, and the remaining monks rushed out of the water and escaped. After leaving the sea, they quickly turned their swords and prepared to fight against the cunning Qin Sword Master. But Ling Yunpo did not rush out of the water, but stayed in the deep water area that could not be detected by the spiritual sense, quietly looking at the crowd above. This made the monks feel bored. If they went into the water, they could not see the other party and could only be killed by the other party. If they stayed on the water, the other party would not follow them, and it would be useless even if they knew the location. Everyone had no choice but to huddle together to guard against the Qin Sword Master's attack from underwater. Not long after, hundreds of sword lights suddenly descended from the distant clouds, swooping down rapidly towards this side, obviously also aiming at the position of Qin Sword Master. Before the monks could react, the attacks from the opposite side had already hit them, taking away dozens of lives in an instant. Chapter 968. No way to be sinister and cunning. After Senior Sisterin was eliminated, Ling Yunpo seemed to be freed from his restraints, and his mind was suddenly completely opened. Originally, if he was next to Senior Sister, he had to maintain his junior brother persona, meet her various belligerent demands, and always be careful not to use means that were not in line with Ling Yunpo's persona, killing the enemy only with swordsmanship. It can be said that he was tied up and very uncomfortable. Now that Senior Sister has finally left, he doesn't have to continue pretending, and can do whatever he wants. He lurked in the deep sea, watching the monks who were waiting in formation on the sea, and were as panicked as dogs who had lost their homes. He was silently calculating his thoughts, and suddenly saw another wave of sword light coming from a distance. After a moment of slight surprise, Ling Yunpo reacted. The monks who were attracted by the secret realm's news gathered in the clouds to discuss how to deal with him. Then they acted collectively, left the clouds, and lowered their altitude to hunt him down. After that, the monks who came to chase them could no longer find their first group, so they spontaneously formed a second group and rushed to the coordinates. Seeing the first group of monks on the sea, and their own coordinates nearby, they naturally thought that Qin Sword Master was hiding among them. Thinking of this, Ling Yunpo suddenly came up with a plan, and asked Jin to use illusion to disguise his face and figure, and then took advantage of the chaos in the formation of the first group of monks to quickly blend into them. Stop! Ling Yunpo shouted, if you want to kill Chin Sword Master first. There were naturally some smart people among these monks, and they immediately knew that this must be a misunderstanding. Chin Sword Master was lurking under the sea, and his coordinates were too close to their positions. He probably thought he was the Shushan people who were covering Chin Sword Master, so he quickly shouted, our own people. Not Shushan, our own people. After they shouted for a while, many of the second wave of monks who launched the attack stopped and looked suspicious. When the monks on the other side defended, they used all kinds of magic weapons and Taoist methods. They did not seem to be Shushan monks. After all, Shushan sword immortals always fired thousands of swords at once. Just as the offensive was gradually subsiding, Ling Yunpo also shouted our own people while suddenly pinching the sword formula. The Thunder Sword and the 10,000 Bamboo Sword shot out quickly, each stabbing and killing the two monks who were caught off guard in the distance. The second wave of monks immediately became furious. Good guy, you called us your own people, let us be alert first, and then kill us, right? Shushan monks are so insidious and cunning. So most of the monks who had stopped were now full of anger and poured out all kinds of the strongest means of attack. The first wave of monks wanted to explain, but a large number of attacks were already close at hand. In order to protect themselves, they could only use their own means, and the two sides soon fought. Ling Yunpo smiled, and after reporting the location again, he quietly disappeared into the sea again and ran away quickly. The monks fought each other for a while. Since the first wave of monks had fewer people and many of them stopped and shouted to clarify their identities, the second wave of monks attacked them and killed them all. The remaining monks were still on guard, using their spiritual sense to scan the surroundings, looking for the key target that had not been killed yet, when they suddenly received a message from the secret realm. How come the location of Chin Sword Master is so far away from here? Just as everyone was stunned, a female fairy suddenly rushed out of the sea and shouted, don't do it. You have fallen into the person's trap. The monks looked at her indifferently and recognized that the person was Fairy Yuanzhen. Since the man's mother was a famous immortal in the East China Sea and had extensive connections, everyone was happy to give her face and did not kill her first. Instead, they asked, what plot? Whose plot did we fall into? Of course it was the plot of the Chin Sword Master. Fairy Yuanzhen said quickly, we are actually the same as you. We're here to hunt down the Chin Sword Master. He hid in the deep sea before. I don't know what means he used to stay out of our spiritual sense scanning, but he was able to accurately lock our position and launch an attack. Therefore, we can only stay together on the sea to prevent the other party from continuing to attack. Then you came to kill us. We thought you were from Shushan. A cultivator said embarrassedly, the coordinates of the Chin Sword Master were so close to you that we couldn't judge it at the first time. That's why we shouted our own people. But unexpectedly someone was still launching an attack. At this point, Fairy Yuanzhen suddenly frowned. She remembered the person who spoke first. His appearance was too unfamiliar. She had never seen him in that team before. Although Fairy Yuanzhen's strength was mediocre, thanks to her mother's teachings, she had an excellent memory for interpersonal communication. She quickly determined that she had never seen that person. That person was not from our team. He must have sneaked in later. It was Chin Sword Master. Fairy Yuanzhen blurted out, it was Chin Sword Master who sneaked into us, deliberately shouted to stop, and then took the opportunity to attack you. The monks were in an uproar when they heard this, and they all cursed Chin Sword Master for his cunning. In fact, most of the monks were half believing and half doubting Fairy Yuanzhen's statement. After all, Chin Sword Master King Feng was down and out in Shushan in his early years and was bullied. Later, he rose up and killed Shushan's high-level officials. Therefore, he has become a template for the rise of various small characters, and is regarded as an idol by many unsuccessful immortals. No one wants to believe that such an inspirational Chin Sword Master is such a despicable and shameless villain behind him. I think someone must have been in the group of cultivators led by Fairy Yuanzhen, who had a bad temper and attacked without authorization. Now that the group was wiped out, they blamed the Chin Sword Master. Even so, considering that everyone's goal on this trip was to kill the Chin Sword Master, there was no need to expose the other party. They just followed Fairy Yuanzhen and cursed a few words, and then tentatively asked for information about the Chin Sword Master. We don't have much information about the Chin Sword Master. Fairy Yuanzhen was more cautious here. She knew that if she revealed all the information she knew, her importance to the team would immediately decrease. Therefore, she only said implicitly, the Chin Sword Master is very good at swordsmanship. Nonsense. The Chin Sword Master is not best at swordsmanship. Could it be Taoism? Everyone complained in their hearts, but asked, how is he so good at it? The Chin Sword Master is extremely fast. Fari Yuanzhen sighed and said, the speed after the man and the sword become one is even more amazing. He was still far away the last moment, and he can be in front of you the next moment. The Qin's human sword's attack is also well deserved. Some people used defensive magic weapons to block it, but they were directly penetrated by his sword. There was no possibility of resistance at all. These words made the monks silent. Although Fairy Yuanzhen only said 2 points, but these 2 points combined, it means instantly move in front of you, and then kill you instantly with sword skills that you can't defend against. Today is a single update, stuck. Let me slow down. Chapter 969. The strategy to encircle and kill Qin Sword Master. After hearing what Fairy Yuanzhen said, although the cultivators did not believe that the Qin Sword Master would deliberately mix into the crowd to sow discord, it was a fact that he was hiding under the deep sea and launching an attack. Most of the Shushan Sword Immortals were reckless, but they were not reckless enough to challenge 100 people openly. Taking advantage of the environment is the most basic tactical quality. Therefore, everyone rose to a higher altitude in the storm, always keeping a certain distance from the sea level, guarding against sneak attacks from the Qin Sword Master. After a long time, the secret realm once again sent a message to inform the location, and suddenly someone said, wait, the Qin Sword Master is still far away from us now, why should we be so cautious? As soon as these words came out, everyone immediately became dazed. That's right. The Qin Sword Master is not here, and we are trembling here, treading on thin ice. Who are we guarding against? After looking at each other for a moment, everyone finally came to their senses. Isn't it because Fairy Yuanzhen said too scary? With the extraordinary speed of the Qin's human sword, it will teleport in front of you before you can react, and then use the terrifying damage of the Qin's human sword to ignore your defense and kill you directly. Such an exaggerated statement scared everyone, so they subconsciously overreacted. How about if someone suggested, wait for other cultivators to come? Are our numbers enough to deal with Qin Sword Master? How can it be not enough? Someone else said impatiently, even if the person on the other side is an immortal, with so many nascent soul cultivators like us, it will take a while to kill him, right? This was really too much, directly elevating Qin Sword Master to the level of an immortal, so several people were indignant and were about to refute, when suddenly they heard Fairy Yuanzhen say faintly, we thought so before. Everyone. Fairy Yuanzhen, your group was actually ambushed before. Suddenly someone said, if my guess is correct, you must have perceived him with your numerical advantage first, and the Qin Sword Master chose to temporarily avoid the edge and hide in the seabed, and then you chased him, but in the end he took advantage of the environment to kill him on the seabed and, am I right? Fairy Yuanzhen looked carefully and recognized that this person was the Luoang scholar. This person followed the path of human teaching in his early years, and later turned to Taoist exercises. He was a rare talent who practiced both Taoism and Confucianism. Most Taoist practitioners, whether they are the 3 pure ones and the 6 paths or other sects, have the habit of working behind closed doors. They will only come out to practice when they encounter bottlenecks in the golden elixir realm, so most of them lack social experience. And because Luoang scholar practiced both Taoism and Confucianism, his mind is more active than most cultivators, so he has a great reputation in many cultivator circles, as a military strategist. Fairy Yuanzhen nodded, indicating that his analysis was correct, so someone asked, then what do you think we should do, brother scholar? First of all, the Qin Sword Master does not have the ability to fight so many of us alone. Luoang scholar smiled, otherwise, there is no need to bother escaping, just attack and kill us all. Secondly, although he wants to hide in the deep sea, it is also very simple to deal with it, just use water and wood Taoist magic to attack. Everyone was stunned. This is equivalent to saying nothing. Water Taoist magic is naturally not afraid of water environment, and wood Taoist magic can get bonus in water environment according to the principle of the combination of the 5 elements. Therefore, even if it passes through layers of deep sea and bombards Qin Sword Master, its effect will not be weakened too much. But the problem is, where can we find so many cultivators who know water and wood Taoist magic? Are there any cultivators who know water-related and wood-related Taoist magic? Luoang scholar asked, it doesn't have to be Taoist magic, the corresponding magic weapons or sword magic will be fine. There were 16 or 17 cultivators who stood up, which made Luoang scholar even more proud. He simply began to give orders. These Taoist friends need to form a separate team and be responsible for using some means to force the target out from the bottom of the deep sea. The rest of the Taoist friends, follow me and get ready. If the Chin Sword Master leaves the bottom of the sea, kill him immediately with all your strength. What if we can't force the Chin Sword Master out? Someone asked, questioning. How is that possible? The Loang scholar smiled calmly. There are undercurrents in this deep sea. It is extremely difficult for ordinary cultivators to keep their bodies stable in it, let alone avoid attacks from above. If the target goes all the way down, it will sooner or later be dragged to death by the undercurrent, but if it lingers above and has a secret realm to inform its location, we can launch an attack and force it out. Of course, the premise is that we can't rush to the bottom of the sea rashly like the Taoist friend before. These words made Fairy Yuan's eyes twitch, thinking, who can't be a hindsighter? If we knew in advance that the Chin Sword Master had that kind of means, how could we chase him into the deep sea? But, I don't believe that the Chin Sword Master's skills stop here, just wait and see. Although Fairy Yuan complained in her heart, the other cultivators thought carefully and couldn't find any problems, so they echoed with great morale. There's just one question. In the team of cultivators who knew water and wood methods, 2 or 3 people suddenly spoke up and said, this time in the 7 treasures Chuan Yuan secret realm, the test is who can kill the Chin Sword Master, and whoever can get the corresponding quota. In other words, there can only be one quota, we're responsible for forcing him out, and then handing it over to you to kill. This is not fair at all. The Loang scholar's face did not change, and he still smiled. I'm not surprised that you would ask this question. Let me ask you. If he was at the bottom of the sea and was killed by your water and wood attack methods, would this be unfair to us? Of course not. Someone immediately said without thinking, if you also have the means to force him out, just go ahead and do it. Why ask us? That's it. The Loang scholar said with a smile on his face, although you are fewer in number, you have the advantage of attacking first. If you can kill the Chin Sword Master under the water, it will naturally be your chance. If you fail to kill him, but only force him out, then it means that you are not strong enough. Who can you blame? When Chin Sword Master comes out, everyone will compete with their own ability. This man's strategy is quite powerful. In the crowd, after listening to the strategy of Loang scholar, Kumlinjing frowned slightly and pondered. When the monks began to fly in the direction of Chin Sword Master, she quietly left the team with the help of illusion and teleported directly to Ling Yunpo. At this time, Ling Yunpo was standing on the beach of a small island, poking crabs on the beach with a wooden stick. The undercurrent in the seawater was too fast, and most of the aquatic monsters had been killed, and the birds and beasts on land were attacked by heavy rain, and only 1 in 10 survived. Only these crabs buried their bodies under the sand and temporarily escaped. Kumlinjing came to his side and explained the strategy at the other side in detail. Ling Yunpo said in surprise, that's it? How are you going to solve this? Kumlinjing said worriedly. That's easy. Ling Yunpo thought without hesitation, wouldn't it be better if I didn't hide at the bottom of the sea? Chapter 970 The Impact of Mountains and Seas. Not hiding at the bottom of the sea? Kumlan Mirror asked doubtfully, then where are you going to hide? The secret realm reports 3 times every quarter of an hour. Ling Yunpo said with a smile, when reporting, of course I have to hide at the bottom of the sea. After the report is finished, I will immediately rise to a higher altitude and launch a surprise attack on them from the air. At this time they must think I am still at the bottom of the sea, and their attention will only be focused on the bottom, and they will not realize that I have moved to another location. Kumlan Mirror was silent for a moment, thinking that those cultivators dared to use any tricks, which were not enough in front of this guy. It would be better to charge and kill from the beginning. Maybe we can use a round-robin battle to wear this guy to death, okay? She nodded and said, I'll go confirm their location. Kumlan Mirror teleported away, and Ling Yunpo stayed patiently in the deep sea, moving from time to time to ensure that the report would not produce any abnormalities that would make people suspicious, such as staying in a certain place for a long time, making them think that I was setting a trap, etc. He wandered carelessly, in the dark deep sea, and suddenly a long-lost sense of loneliness arose from the bottom of his heart. By the way, after I have seized all the fragments of the sky repairing stone and defected from all the sects, and finally completed the sky repairing project, I should be wandering alone between heaven and earth like this, right? Senior sister, junior sister, Taoist partner, all gone. Thinking of this, Ling Yunpo felt a little depressed again. Now that senior sister is not around, I don't have to play the role of a junior brother and can give full play to my intelligence and talents, but after all, it still feels a bit unappreciated. Forget it. In order to save this hopeless world and ascend to the supreme sky throne, this price must be paid in advance. As for loneliness, sitting on the sky throne, how can I not be lonely? Can I still expect laughter and joy around the throne? Ling Yunpa was thinking wildly, and the more he thought, the more annoyed he felt, until the Kunlun mirror teleported back again and said, "They are almost here." "Okay, Arjing." Ling Yunpa collected his thoughts and said quickly, "Notify me when the news comes." After a while, the Kunlun mirror finally reminded, "News has come." Ling Yunpa quickly merged with his sword, breaking through the layers of seawater and undercurrents. Under the cover of the Kunlun mirror's illusion, he quietly talked through the sea surface and rushed towards the sky. He saw nearly 100 sword lights flying towards this side in the distance, but due to the heavy rain outside and the surging waves on the sea surface, they did not seem to notice that someone had broken through the sea surface here. Continuing to rise in altitude until he was close to the cloud layer, Ling Yunpo scanned down again and saw those monks flying on swords above the sea surface, using various water and wood spells and magic weapons to hit the seabed below, aiming at the location where he was last reported. Well, what should I use next? He thought for a moment, then took out the Wang Time Kun sword, and then vigorously activated the sword's Taoist magic. In an instant, a small mountain quietly emerged from the air. Ling Yunpo is now in the Nascent Soul realm, so the Qingqing mountain created by the Taoist magic is about 5 or 6 times the size of a real mountain. Ling Yunpo pointed his hand again, and the Qingqing mountain quickly fell down. At this time, the monks on the sea surface were fiercely bombarding the seabed. Since the divine consciousness could not penetrate the seabed, everyone did not know where the Qin Sword Master was hiding. Fortunately, it had not been long since the last report, so everyone assumed that the Qin Sword Master had not gone far, and listed a large area around as the attack range. After fighting for a long time, the Qin Sword Master never showed up, which made everyone a little anxious. Where did the Qin Sword Master hide? Someone complained, "He can't have used some defensive magic to block our attacks, right?" Impossible. The Luoyang scholar immediately denied, "If he really has such a defensive magic, why would he run? Just find a place on the seabed and don't move. No matter how we attack with magic, he can block it with defensive magic, right?" Everyone thought about it carefully and it was right. Since the Qin Sword Master wanted to run, it means that he must still be afraid of being surrounded by us. Is there a possibility? The old man who spoke just now said again, "The Qin Sword Master has already run far away and is not within the range of our lock." Absolutely impossible. The Luoyang scholar was a little annoyed when he saw him, but just to maintain his tall image, he still patiently explained, "I calculated the previous series of reporting positions. He should be walking forward slowly. Why did he suddenly speed up and leave the vicinity when we approached? Maybe he has a way to detect us remotely?" The old man was still unconvinced and continued to speculate. This is also easy to judge. Fari Wanzhen suddenly said, "Wait until the next report to see if his position has moved away from here, and then we will know. It's only about 1/3 of an incense stick of time, so you better continue." So everyone stepped up to pour a large-scale attack on the seabed, and countless magic lights rushed into the water, setting off large waves and waves. Fari Wanzhen had already noticed something was wrong. To be fair, although there was no solid evidence, she agreed with the brother who questioned it out loud. However, this kind of argument without evidence would definitely be resolved by the Luoyang scholar, so she quickly ended the topic and secretly paid attention to the movements around her. If the Qin Sword Master escaped, it would be fine, but if he didn't escape and was not afraid of our magic, it would be really troublesome. Just thinking about this, she suddenly raised her head for some unknown reason. A small dot appeared in the air, and it expanded rapidly in an instant until the majestic appearance of the mountain was revealed. Fari Wanzhen finally turned pale, and quickly bit her tongue to spurt out blood, performed the secret method of escape, and rushed out at the fastest speed. She was the first to run away suddenly, which immediately attracted the attention of the surrounding monks. Some monks even subconsciously tried to keep her, but the female cultivator's secret method of escape was so fast that before they could make a move, the other party had already escaped from the attack range and disappeared. The next second, everyone was attracted by the shadow cast by the mountain above. When they saw the terrifying size of Qingqing Mountain, there was almost no time to escape. Everyone scattered in panic, some used their full strength to control the sword, or performed secret methods, and some even knew that they could not escape and began to use defensive spells on the spot, but under the terrifying mass of Qingqing Mountain, they all seemed so small and powerless. The mountain fell, the sea split, and the shockwave set off a huge tsunami, spreading in all directions. The white light suppressed between the mountains and the sea flashed by light shooting stars and soon disappeared. Chapter 971. The demon cult is pursuing. After dropping the mounting, Ling Yunpo turned around and left without hesitation. He had rich experience in fighting, and of course he knew that the advantage of this mountain-moving method was its large range and high power, but its disadvantage was that it fell too slowly, compared with sword light, thunder magic, flame, etc. This mountain fell from the sky, and the cultivators with quick reactions could fly the sword to escape the falling range. But now he dropped the mountain from this high altitude. When the mountain reached the top of everyone's head, the speed had become extremely fast, and it might not be too late to escape. After Ling Yunpo left, the tsunami and shockwaves below swept far away, and the central sea area slowly calmed down. Suddenly, a head emerged from the water, and it was the returning fairy Yuanzhen. She had escaped too fast before, so she avoided the mountain's impact and the tsunami's collision. After all these attacks were far away, she carefully turned back to see how many cultivators survived. Not a single one. Fairy Yuanzhen was terrified, thinking that they were wiped out by the previous attack. The power of the Qin Sword Master is so terrifying. Suddenly, several more sword lights passed through the air and stopped nearby. The center of the tsunami should be here. A person on the sword light said, someone performed a very powerful Taoist method here. I don't know who performed it. Another person followed suit. In any case, the Qin Sword Master must have had an extremely fierce struggle with the monks who were chasing him. Then we must hurry up and follow him, otherwise we will be robbed. The last person urged, so the sword lights confirmed the location again, and then chased after the Qin Sword Master's new coordinates. Fairy Yuanzhen watched the sword light leave in silence, but this time she didn't have the courage to team up with him. Those people seemed to be monks from the Six Paths. Ling Yunpo wandered outside for a few days, but found that except for 2 or 3 blind cats and dogs who came to cause trouble for him, he rarely saw a large number of hostile monks. Could it be that they're hiding somewhere again, waiting to ambush and plot against me? Jin, go investigate quickly and report back. It's the monks from the demon cult who are here. Jin came back to report. Monsters from the demon cult? Ling Yunpo frowned. What's wrong with Wei Dongliu? Doesn't he know who the Qin Sword Master is? He actually ordered his men to hunt me down. But he quickly realized that although Wei Dongliu is the leader of the Six Paths, it was impossible for him to make the Six Paths monks obey his orders like Qiu Chang Time commanded the Kunlun monks. In other words, if a high-level official in a certain sect received a message from the secret realm and knew that they could get a place by killing the Qin Sword Master, would they notify the great leader Wei? Obviously, it's impossible. Which sect is this monk from? Ling Yunpo said dissatisfiedly, you didn't even figure this out, and you're in a hurry to come back to report the news. I'll investigate again and report again. Jin was so angry that he teleported away silently. After a while, she came back to report. It's a cultivator from the Engido. I thought so too. Ling Yunpo laughed. It's impossible that Wei Dongliu has no control over the cultivators of the Immortal Do. The cultivators of the Heavenly Demon Do have always been lazy. If he is so hypocritical, he is most likely a cultivator from the Engido. You knew you were still asking me to investigate? Jin was so angry that he gritted his teeth. Don't show that expression. Ling Yunpo pinched her cheeks and said seriously, it's one thing to predict the enemy's moves, and it's another to verify it yourself. Although the enemy has always acted within my expectations, your personal investigation will undoubtedly add a bit of confidence to our 99% certainty. Your work is also very valuable. Jin ignored him and turned into light and returned to the sea of consciousness. I haven't finished asking. Ling Yunpo held his chin and asked thoughtfully, is the leader Wen Yang? No, it's Demon Bone Master. Jin said coldly. Demon Bone Immortal, and Ling Yunpo immediately remembered. Isn't he the son of the headmaster of the Engido, Fushi? When did this guy also advance to the nascent soul realm? In many sects, there are often 2 forces fighting, namely the headmaster and the immortal. For example, in Penglai and the original Shushan, the immortals who guard the sect basically have an absolute advantage, and the headmaster can only bow their heads and obey orders. Later, the immortal Chanmei made a big mistake because of his paranoia and prejudice, and had to resign from the position of the immortal who guards the sect and return the power to the headmaster. The immortal is still an immortal, and his status will not change, but he will no longer participate in the struggle for power. For example, Kunlun is a rare situation where the headmaster is very strong and the immortal who guards the sect does not care. The main reason is that the headmaster Ziwei himself is strong, skillful, and outstanding in all aspects. Geese and Immortal both agrees with him and is convinced, so he has no intention of competing with him at all. The situation of the Ingido is actually a bit complicated. Judging from the situation in recent years, Venerable Baigyu obviously has the intention of supporting his apprentice Wenyang. This can be clearly seen from the fact that she was in charge of leading the Ingido in several external operations. As for the Fushi sect master, it is not necessarily true that he is willing to hand over the power. After all, his son, Demon Bone Master, is not a mediocre person. He has brains and talents, and can be supported to compete with Wenyang. But the biggest problem is that Demon Bone Master's personality is too bad, and he has a strong sense of rebellion and opposition to the conservative forces in the sect, which makes many elders dislike him. This is very fatal for the future successor of the sect master. Ling Yunpo was thinking, and suddenly he heard the wind around him. His face changed slightly, and he quickly rushed forward with the sword as one. But in a moment, the place where he was standing behind him was surrounded by a lot of yin wind, and there was a faint sound of ghost crying that made people tremble. The attack has come? So fast. Ling Yunpo immediately scanned and found that many elders of the Ingido were gathering under the sea and attacking him. This organized and directed offensive was indeed different from the previous Immortal Cultivators. Not only was the level more distinct, but in order to prevent him from escaping, many attacks were deliberately placed around him, completely blocking his way. Deeper in the sea, many Immortal elders had already laid out the formation, obviously waiting for him to sneak under the sea to avoid the attack above the sea surface, and then these people would activate the formation to ambush and kill him. Oh, that's it? A Jin, teleport. Ling Yunpo disappeared instantly. After a while, the Ingido elders who noticed something was wrong slowly emerged from their respective positions. Where did the Chin Sword Master go? Elder Mogif stepped out of the crowd and asked the elders who were ambushing under the sea. It seems that he disappeared suddenly. An elder recalled. Disappeared suddenly? Mogif thought carefully for a moment, and his face gradually became gloomy. No matter what the secret method of escape is, there will be traces before it is activated, unless it is killed and then disappears into light. Could it be that someone accidentally killed the master of Chin Sword and then deliberately concealed the truth? Chapter 972. Showing off one's skills. The siege of the Ingido monks is much more difficult to deal with than those Yuning monks of neutral sects. Not only are they well organized and disciplined, they also have many different kinds of strange spells. Even though Ling Yunpo's cultivation is far superior to his peers, he dare not say that he will definitely capsize in the gutter. Therefore, Ling Yunpo's strategy this time is to let a Jin use his ultimate move to teleport and make the opponent fall into a huge confusion of how did he disappear. Of course, this strategy can only deceive the opponent for a while. As long as the secret realm is still transmitting the location, the opponent will sooner or later regroup and persevere in chasing after him. Ling Yunpo began to rush forward at the speed of man and sword integration. The sword light tore through the heavy air, producing a violent sonic boom and shock wave. Master Sword Master, why are you flying so fast? Suming Jin asked curiously, are you using this method to shake off the pursuers? But the secret realm will send messages every once in a while to inform Master Sword Master of your location. If you keep running away like this, your true energy will soon be exhausted, right? Of course you can't keep running away. Ling Yunpo said with a chuckle, this is a tactic. Do you understand tactics? Oh, I forgot, as a sword, of course you don't understand. Suming Jin was silent for a moment, and suddenly he could understand Kunlun Mira's feelings when facing this guy. He suppressed his dissatisfaction and impatience, and continued to ask curiously, then why is Master Sword Master, can you explain it to me? You watch, Ling Yunpo said here, suddenly braked and stopped his momentum, and then stayed where he was. Ah Jin, scan it. After a while, Kunlun Jing suddenly said, 3 people have come in, is this what you expected? This is the weakness of an organized pursuit team. Ling Yunpo laughed, as long as I am fast enough, so fast that most monks can't catch up, then the monks who are fast enough will be separated from the rest of the monks. If it is an unorganized team, these monks will find that they're separated from the main force, and they will definitely worry about being defeated one by me, so they will deliberately slow down and stop chasing. But the opponent is a monk of the Ingido, so the commander will definitely order these people to speed up the pursuit, and then try to entangle me and leave me, so that the large force behind can catch up and besiege. I see. Kunlun Jing also suddenly realized. If these people can entangle Ling Yunpo, then this tactic is naturally feasible. The question is, can you entangle him? Don't underestimate this guy's strength. The three Yinggido elders who caught up from behind also reacted very quickly after discovering the figure of Ling Yunpo in front. First, they quickly stopped the charge. Then, one of them activated a defensive magic weapon and used some kind of cloud-like magic weapon to surround the three people. Another person waved his hands and spit out many strange ghosts from his sleeves, trying to come over the restrained Ling Yunpo. Another person pinched the dough formula with his hands and scattered many formation flags around. This guy actually dared to set up the formation in front of him. It seems that he is very confident in the methods of the other two companions. Ling Yunpo sneered, and the Thunder Sword and the 10,000 bamboo sword shot out from both sides at the same time. The former intercepted the ghost with a horizontal sword, and the latter directly transformed into thousands of incarnations and stabbed the three people. As a result, the Thunder Sword chocked a few times. Although it seemed to hurt the ghost, the opponent's resilience was also very strong. It dragged its incomplete body to continue to restrain the Thunder Sword. It was obviously a ghost that specialized in restraining swordsmanship. The clones of the 10,000 bamboo sword pierced into the clouds and mist, and soon they were all annihilated. The induction was cut off, and it didn't even know what destroyed it. Ling Yunpo raised his eyebrows in surprise, thinking that these three people dared to come alone to entangle me, and they really targeted the usual tactics of the Shushan sword immortal. However, this level is not enough. He pinched the sword formula in his hand, and the Wonju sword turned around, and the Chinsuming sword quickly shot forward. Seeing the sudden attack of the magic sword, the three Yinggido elders were also shocked and frightened, and hurriedly used all kinds of defensive means, especially the guy who set up the formation, who almost shook off all the remaining formation flags in an instant, and then frantically pinched the dough formula like a seal, and quickly activated the formation. I saw that all the ghosts were instantly wiped out wherever the Chinsuming sword swept. Then the sword body pierced into the clouds and mist, making a harsh sound like nails scratching a blackboard, and countless sparks flew out of the sword body, like thousands of blades rubbing violently on it. The seemingly weak and thin clouds and mist actually concealed such a heavy murderous intent. But the Chinsuming sword was not damaged at all. It just endured the damage from the cutting and friction and continued to kill the three Yinggido elders. However, due to the cutting obstruction of the cloud and mist magic weapon, the speed of the sword was inevitably slowed down. The Yinggido elder who was setting up the formation finally arranged and activated the formation. In an instant, the coverage of all the clouds and mist seemed to have undergone some kind of unnoticeable distortion. The Chinsuming sword was still shooting at the three Yinggido elders, but the speed was getting slower and slower. It was obvious that it would definitely not hit. Master Sword Master. Suming sword asked through the key sensing. Well, it should be the small Sumera formation. Ling Yunpo said calmly, a simplified version of the mustard seed Sumera formation, which can stretch the space. This formation is usually set up at the entrance of the secret cave to keep out unwelcome outsiders. So I am the outsider. Sumin Jian said irritably, I can't do anything about this kind of space method, you should think of a way quickly. Humph. Ling Yunpo sneered, these evil cult thieves are really well prepared. The carefully selected Taoist methods, magic weapons, and formations are all methods to defeat my sword fairy. It's a pity that everything is false under the absolute strength. He pinched the sword formula in his hand, and the Suming sword quickly turned around. The direction of the sword was a deserted area, but the elder who presided over the formation changed his face slightly, and hurriedly pinched the formula with both hands in a daze, and quickly adjusted the formation structure. Ling Yunpo changed the sword formula again, and the Chinsuming sword turned around again and shot towards another uninhabited area again. As his sword gestures changed, the elder's face became more and more interesting, from nervousness to fear and then to despair. Finally, with a click, the Chinsuming sword swept across an open space, and another severed formation flag fell from the sky. The area covered by clouds and mist changed again, and the original sense of distortion had disappeared. It was obvious that the formation was completely broken. Ling Yunpo sneered unabashedly, thinking that with just this little trick, you dare to show off in front of me. Your formation doesn't even have a cauldron to suppress the formation. It relies entirely on the formation flag to maintain the formation structure. The formation flag is far inferior to the cauldron as a magic weapon, and its defensor is basically non-existent. Can't it be broken at will? He made the last gesture without mercy, and the Chinsuming sword was like a stream of light, piercing through all three Yinggido elders who couldn't resist, and killed them into white light. Chapter 973. His true essence is not enough. We have lost contact with the three elders of Wei Di. One of the elders in the pursuit said suddenly, I guess they were killed. This is also within my expectations. Mogif said lightly. After all, he is the Chin Sword Master, he will not be chopped down by those 3 axes. It would have been better if this statement had not been made. Once it was made, the other elders immediately frowned. This is the truth. No one expected that the Chin Sword Master could be killed by sending out 3 people. But as the commander, this shows that you don't take everyone's life seriously. How can we believe that you will not manipulate us at will in order to make a move? How can we convince everyone in this way? As if to confirm their judgment, Mogif sneered and continued. But this is also good, at least we can be sure that 3 people can't take down the Chin Sword Master. The elders looked at each other, and they were speechless. Next, the tactics need to be adjusted. Mogif continued, if we keep chasing like this, the team will still be out of touch and be defeated by him one by one. The mechanism of the secret realm reporting is that within about 10,000 feet, it will report 3 times within each incense stick, and there will be no reporting beyond this distance. I now need a tracking team of about 6 people, and keep a distance of 6 to 8,000 feet from the target, understand? Seeing that the elders were silent, Mogif showed annoyance on his face, and patiently explained. Every time you report, if the opponent is more than 8,000 feet away, speed up. If it is less than 6,000 feet, slow down. Make sure you can grasp his position and at the same time not be killed by him. Do you understand? Understood. Everyone responded sparsely. The Chin Sword Master won't keep moving at such a high speed. Mogif continued confidently, otherwise, his true essence will be exhausted in advance. Although he may have some long-distance reconnaissance means, it is impossible for him to exceed a distance of 6,000 feet, so he will naturally not notice that he is being followed. But due to the existence of the reporting mechanism, he has no way to confirm whether any passing cultivators will receive the message and chase him. Therefore, he either keeps moving at a high speed to leave possible pursuers behind, or he is always on guard to detect the surroundings and maintain an extremely tense state. The former consumes true essence, and the latter consumes the mind. How can it last long? Upon hearing this, the elders of the Ingido nodded in agreement, thinking that this principle hit the nail on the head and pointed out the most critical factor. Is the Chin Sword Master strong? Strong, but it is not his own strength, but the Chin's human sword. It is said that he himself only formed a 3rd-grade golden elixir at the beginning, and his Yuning was a divine infant. This cultivation level is top-notch in any sect, but it is a pipe dream to fight 1 against 100. The trial in this secret realm will continue as long as the number of remaining people is greater than 12. How long can the Chin Sword Master last when he is being hunted down by everyone, even if he has top cultivation? When he is exhausted, it will be the day when the Ingido takes his life. Ling Yunpo slowed down and suddenly realized something was wrong. Except for the 3 yellers in the first wave, the Ingido did not seem to send more people to die. What conspiracy are these guys thinking of? The distance of the secret realm transmission is as high as 10,000 feet, which means that as long as there are cultivators within 10,000 feet, their location will be regularly reported. It is impossible for him to monitor every corner of this 10,000 feet range, so if the opponent stops attacking and just keeps people within the 10,000 feet range, the situation will be much more troublesome. After all, the trump card that has not been revealed is the most threatening means. Ling Yunpo thought for a moment and still felt that he had to defend himself. Jing. He ordered, help me search the entire area within the range of 10,000 feet. You're a human. Lin Jing said in horror, do you know how big the range of 10,000 feet is? No matter how big the range of 10,000 feet is, can't it be handled with a few teleportations and scans? Ling Yunpo said in surprise. How do I do it? Kunlun Mirror said angrily, tell me how to do it. Let me give you an example. For example, your maximum scanning area is 1/9 of the 10,000 range. Ling Yunpo said patiently, then you divide the 10,000 range into 9 areas of equal area, and then teleport to the center of the area each time and scan it once. If you scan it 9 times in a row, okay, I won't talk to you anymore. Seeing that he treated her like a child and explained to her what a carpet search was, Kunlun Mirror could only interrupt him helplessly and said, I'll go, right. I'll go, right. She disappeared again soon, and only Sumin Jin could be heard laughing and teasing, Master Sword Master, this broken mirror is really useful, right? There are some things that only a Jin can help me with. Ling Yunpo said coldly, Suming, instead of envying her for being trusted by me, why don't you think more about what you haven't done enough? You are my natal sword, but your importance to me is not as important as a Jing. Don't you feel lost? Suming sword. Indeed. it said insincerely, and soon began to play dead and kept silent. Ling Yunpo waited for a moment, and after about 2 minutes, Kunlun Mirror teleported back. The people of Yingida are here. She showed the map to Ling Yunpo, south, 9,000 feet, very slow. There are 6 others, 7,500 feet, slightly faster, heading towards the coordinates you left last time. There are 3 more, probably casual cultivators from neutral sects, who came here after receiving the secret realm message. Their positions and speeds are marked for you. I see. Ling Yunpo nodded. Jin, you did a good job, you take a rest first. Well. Kunlun Mirror was about to dissolve its entity and fly back to his sea of consciousness, only to hear Ling Yunpo say again, wait for the next secret realm message, and help me investigate again. Kunlun Mirror. Got it. She said angrily. Ling Yunpo looked at the map created by Kunlun Mirror with illusion, and began to figure it out silently. Judging from the division and speed of Yingdao and others, it was obvious that they failed to contain them in that first wave. They knew that their strength was too strong, so they changed to a delaying tactic, hoping to delay until they were besieged by the monks of the neutral sects and their true essence was exhausted before they took action. What a naive idea, how could I fall for such a trick? Since you don't plan to fight, I will not accompany you anymore. Ling Yunpo waited patiently until the next wave of secret realm reports were over. After Kunlun Mirror left for reconnaissance, he immediately merged with Sumin Jin quickly, bursting out at an extremely amazing speed, and sprinted straight into the distance. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Mundo Fanfic Novelers, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelers. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 974. Let's think of a solution. Soon, the Ingido people in the rear received news from the reconnaissance team at the front. The target, Chinsword Master, had disappeared. This time, Mugi finally couldn't hold it anymore and shouted angrily, "Where is he?" "I don't know." The elders in charge of the reconnaissance were also clueless. Originally, the secret realm would report to us once every certain period of time. But it seems that it has been a long time since the last report, so we rushed to the location of the last report, only to find that the Chinsword Master had disappeared long ago. Waste. Elder Mogi was furious. Can't you see it? It's obvious that he has mastered your location, so he first used a slow movement speed to paralyze you, and then waited for the secret realm to send a message and suddenly sped up, leaving you behind completely. Everyone thought it should be this distance, but who can defend against this strategy at the other party? How often the secret realm sends a message is not up to us. Besides, how fast can the Chinsword Master run? How do we know? Don't you know it too? I called you trash, but you were still not convinced, right? Mugi saw that these elders didn't take it seriously, so he said in a cold voice, "It's only been a short time since we chased him. Is it true that he has exhausted his energy so quickly? If his energy hasn't been exhausted, why did he slow down?" The elders of the reconnaissance team were silent, and someone next to him advised, "Don't pursue the responsibility yet, Mugi. The most urgent thing now is to quickly reconfirm the location of Chinsword Master." "That's right." An elder also echoed, "Judging from the original movement trajectory of Chinsword Master, he should have gone to the southwest. But there is also the possibility that he deliberately turned and changed his route after getting rid of us, so why don't we spread out in a fan shape and chase in the west, south, and southwest directions respectively, to see if we can get information from Chinsword Master." "Spread out in a fan shape?" Mugi sneered contemptuously, "Then separate and let him defeat them one by one, right? Have you forgotten how the 3 elders of Wide were killed?" "Well, I forgot." The elder was also good-tempered and frankly admitted his mistake. Then he said, "But if we stick together, we can only rely on luck to continue to pursue the location of the Chinsword Master. Why should we go and find him?" Mugi waved his hand impatiently and said, "Go find some cultivators from other sects and ask them to help find the location of the Chinsword Master. Those who can provide information will be rewarded." The eyes of the elders suddenly lit up. Yes, why didn't we think of mobilizing the power of a large number of independent cultivators? It's not that we can't think of it, but everyone has been immersed in cultivation for many years, and their brains are not as flexible as those of young descendants like Mugi. After thinking for a long time, they can still think of it. But, another elder questioned, if the cultivators of other sects find the location of Chinsword Master, what if they also want to kill Chinsword Master and don't inform us? How difficult is that? Muggy laughed. If it is a single casual cultivator who receives the secret realm news, he may still try his luck beyond his ability. But if there are groups of casual cultivators, there is only one Chinsword Master. Who can kill him? It must be the strongest one in the team. Then, casual cultivators who think they're relatively not so good at fighting and are unlikely to get a chance will naturally come to us to provide information and receive rewards. I see. The elders of the Ingido clapped their hands and praised. Everyone is also very clear about how casual cultivators are a pile of scattered sand. If there are 3 or 5 casual cultivators, they may be able to form an alliance of interests that advances and retreats together, but as long as the number of people increases, all kinds of weird things will emerge in an endless stream. There will definitely be people who think rather than fighting Chinsword Master, it is better to take the reward of the Ingido. Then how much should the reward be? Asked one of the elders. You're asking me about such a small matter? Muggy said irritably. Of course I'll set it high, but I can't let people think it's fake at first glance. After all, the Ingido is a big sect. The elders quickly discussed for a while and soon decided on the corresponding rules and rewards. Then they sent people to find the nearby casual cultivators to explain the situation. Ling Yunpo ran around for a long time and estimated that the Ingido people had probably given up, so he sat down to rest for a while and sent Kunlun Mirror out to investigate. Under the transmission and scanning capabilities of Kunlun Mirror, no matter how far the distance is, it is meaningless, so he quickly understood the Ingido's plan. Anyway, they are offering a reward for your whereabouts. After returning to Ling Yunpo's side, Kunlun Jing said vividly, as long as you lead the elders of the Ingido to determine your whereabouts, you can go to the Ingido to get a 10th order flying sword after the secret realm ends. 10th order flying sword. Ling Yunpo said in surprise, how can the Ingido be so generous? You know, the top sword-making technology nowadays is only the 9th order flying sword, and the 10th order flying swords are all ancient relics and cannot be mass-produced. Considering that things are rare and expensive, although this 10th order flying sword cannot be said to be out of stock, the price on the market is basically very high, even more outrageous than many powerful 9th order flying swords. It is really outrageous that the Ingido can take out a 10th order flying sword for a piece of news. Ling Yunpo suddenly had an idea and said, Jin, how about this? You transform yourself into a neutral monk and go to the Ingido to provide information. Then I will deliberately enter their reporting range to verify the authenticity of your information. After verification, you immediately ask them for the 10th order flying sword, and I will escape immediately after getting it. When they have completely lost track of me, you will appear in front of them again and sell information again. How did you come up with such a shameless and despicable idea without thinking? Kunlun Jing was stunned. Impossible. I have already understood that what they said is after the secret realm is over, go to the Ingido sect to get the 10th order flying sword. The initiative is in their hands. You use this trick to fool them, and you still want to get the flying sword after it is over. It's obvious that you treat them as fools. They'll be lucky if they don't kill you. What a pity. Ling Yunpo said regretfully, if the Ingido is the 3 pure ones of the orthodox religion, considering its reputation, maybe they can find a way to make them accept it with a pinch of their nose. After all, the Ingido is a demonic sect, and they don't follow the rules like the 3 pure ones of the orthodox sect. It's impossible to succeed by doing this. How many casual cultivators believe what they say? Quite a few. Kunlun Jing sighed, many casual cultivators don't have the confidence to kill you. From the perspective of playing it safe, they want to get the money for the information, so they call their friends and ask everyone to come and find your trace. Not only that, there are also casual cultivators who accept this task from the Ingido, and then turn around to find other unfamiliar casual cultivators they meet, and issue new tasks in their own names, saying that there will be rewards for finding your information. Of course, this reward is not as precious as the 10th level flying sword. Can this be subcontracted layer by layer? Ling Yunpo was dumbfounded. So, Kunlun Jing said seriously, I estimate that in a short time, all the cultivators in the secret realm will come to find you. Think of a way, Guanzui. Chapter 975 You stupid. Just as the Kunlun Mirror judged, the Ingido's search for the Chinsword Master activity was soon in full swing. To put it bluntly, although everyone was very tempted by the reward for killing the Chinsword Master, they also had enough self-knowledge to know that unless they hit the jackpot, it would never fall on their heads. However, if you just want to find the news of the Chinsword Master, it would be relatively simple. As long as you can enter the range of the Chinsword Master, you can automatically receive the secret realm message without alerting the other party. If you think about it carefully, there are 2 risks here. First, you have to bring the Ingido elders to determine the location of the Chinsword Master. Get the secret realm message first, and then quickly find the Ingido people. When you bring them over again, the Chinsword Master may have moved away. Then not only will you not get the reward, you may also anger the Ingido, making the other party misunderstand that you're playing tricks on them. Second, the Ingido may not necessarily keep its word. Although it is also a big sect, its reputation is not very good after all. It is also said that in the recent war between good and evil, the Ingido and Cumlan Tai King sect fought so hard that almost all the scattered cultivators near Yuan's Thong were driven away. Later, Cumlan gained the upper hand and suppressed the forces of the Ingido in Yuan's Thong again and again, but never found their specific location. To put it bluntly, after going out, these Ingido cultivators scattered in a hurry, so you can't even find them. Where can you go to get the reward? However, despite the above two risk points are so obvious, as the Ingido people expected in advance, when there are many people, there will be all kinds of people. There are still many scattered cultivators willing to come and try their luck to find that trace of the Chinsword Master for the Ingido. The plan went very smoothly at the beginning. Soon, hundreds of scattered cultivators verbally agreed to report the news, which encouraged the Ingido people. But soon a new problem emerged. Too much false information. There were often scattered cultivators who ran over and said that they had received the location reported by the Chinsword Master, and then the Ingido elders went to see it. After searching for a long time near the target location, they did not receive any news at all. It is possible that the Chinsword Master moved away in time, or it is possible that this casual cultivator fabricated the news. Although giving false news is theoretically unprofitable, who knows what these casual cultivators are thinking? Considering that if the casual cultivator who provided false news is killed, the casual cultivator who got the real news may also be afraid that the Chinsword Master will run away during the reporting period, and thus dare not go to the Ingido to claim the reward. Therefore, facing this situation, the people of the Ingido could only leave a few harsh words of warning and leave in a huff. Soon, a large number of complaints were gathered to Mogyu's side. The elders all felt that this idea sounded good, but it was not smooth in practice. What did elderly Ganchen say? Mogyu asked patiently. She said she had no time to work with us. A certain elder replied. Seeing Mogyu's uncertain face, everyone was silent and laughed in their hearts. In fact, the people from the Ingido who entered the secret realm this time were divided into two groups. One group was led by Elder Mogyu, and the other group was led by Elder Lin Shan. Elder Lin Shan had a close relationship with the great leader Wei Dongliu, so he was also the sixth sect in the sect, advocating that the six paths should work together to fight against the orthodox religion. Of course, such a radical idea naturally attracted opposition from some elders who advocated each family should sweep the snow in front of their own door. Since Elder Lin Shan had Venerable Baigyu behind him, everyone gathered on the side of the Fushi sect master to compete with Elder Lin Shan's political propositions, but it did not mean that everyone really supported this Elder Mogyu. Leave her alone for now. Mogyu made a quick decision, continue to collect intelligence from the scattered cultivators. And can you all use your brains? Don't believe everything others say. For example, the location provided by someone before is within our range of 10,000 feet. Why didn't we receive any news? It's better to kill the scattered cultivators who obviously provide false information like this. The elders of the Ingido nodded in agreement. At this time, another elder asked to see him, saying that a scattered cultivator provided new information. Call him over. Mogyu waved his hand and said, Today I will teach you how to distinguish the authenticity of the information. The person brought over by the elders of the Ingido was an unremarkable teenager, as everyone knows, although cultivators can adjust their appearance freely. Considering the instinctive inertia of judging people by appearance, most scattered cultivators are accustomed to making themselves look like young and middle-aged people, so that they appear to have enough dignity and cannot be bullied. Those who disguise themselves as teenagers, old women or even disabled people are either injured and have lost the ability to regulate their bodies, or they are truly people with supernatural powers and are too lazy to care whether others look down on them when they first meet. So you received the news from the secret realm? Mogyu asked lazily. Yeah. The boy nodded and didn't say much. Seeing that this man was calm and expressionless, Mogyu was slightly surprised, but he remained calm on the surface and continued to ask. Then tell me the location, and the time you received the news. 162 miles to the north. The boy replied, about 1 incense stick ago. Since it was 1 incense stick ago, why didn't you come to report the news earlier? Mogyu raised his eyebrows and asked. Because I'm not sure. The young man replied, "What if the chainsaw master is moving at high speed, and when I take you to find him, he has already left his original location? Wouldn't I have made a wasted trip?" I waited there for an incense stick of time, and the locations of the 3 consecutive reports were basically not far apart. I came to you to report the news only after I was sure. "Oh?" McGill said with interest. "It seems that fellow Daoist is determined to get our reward. But I have another question. 162 miles to the north, no one has told us about this location. Is it just a coincidence? You are the only one within the 10,000 feet range of the chainsaw master, and everyone else is not there?" "That I don't know," the young man said expressionlessly. "I'm only responsible for confirming the information and passing it to you. As for confirming its authenticity, that is your business, right?" "Yes, that's true." Seeing that he didn't show any abnormality, McGill finally got rid of his doubts and smiled, then led the way. "If the chainsaw master is really found, we will naturally fulfill our promise." "Okay." The young man asked again to confirm, "Are you going with me, or are you sending someone to go with me?" "I'll take the others with you," McGill said. "Then you can go." The boy nodded. The next second, before McGill's expression changed color, the chainsaw sword had pierced through his chest, and the whole person instantly turned into white light and disappeared. When he was teleported out of the secret realm, he saw the boy disappear from the spot and quickly mouthed to himself, "You're stupid." End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.